988-15.
Hello?
You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. Sometimes it's good to just yell about football. Yeah, that's right. Ooh, that's right. Who out there is ready for another week in Notre Dame football? I mean it, you guys. Who's ready to turn the calendar to another exciting Notre Dame game? Like, this has been a long week. It has been a long week. And it's just, it's so funny how we all love this. Like, Notre Dame football is our life. It's our world. We shape our whole calendar of our lives around when this football comes back. We're 3 weeks into it and everybody's already miserable. And if you're like me, you feel like this emotional obligation to watch all the games. But you're going into tomorrow. It's one of those things where it's like a car accident on the other side of the road. You're driving and you don't want to look because you know you're not going to like what you're going to see, but you feel obligated to kind of look at the same time, and you're nosy and you want to know like what's going on, but you know you're not going to like it. It's just not a good place to be. It's not a good place to be, you guys. It shouldn't be feeling this way. It shouldn't be this heavy. It's like it really is like an addiction where it doesn't make you feel good. You know it's bad for you. It's bad for your mental health, but you're still going to do it. Yeah, I'm dead serious. If you really think about what this does to you and where we're at right now collectively. Everybody's like, you're going to watch and you're probably going to be pissed off. You're going to watch, but you're probably not going to like it. Even if Notre Dame wins tomorrow or whatever, you're still probably not going to like it. It'll still be ugly. It's still not going to make you feel like they're playing great football. How much you want to bet? Even if Notre Dame wins, you're like, oh, it's better than a loss, but I see a bunch of problems this is the position they've put us in. It's the position they've put us in. And I just, Drunk says you can't accept reality, John. I don't know. Listen, you know what I've been getting a lot this week? Comments directed to me, unrelated to anything I'm saying, but people are just mad. I have no idea. I don't know. Like, oh, you're just making a bunch of excuses for Freeman. Where we are at right now is completely unacceptable. The result that happened last week is unacceptable. You can't have that happen. Not in this year, not in this situation where it's completely off the reservation, unacceptable. You're in a horrible spot. The road to save all this is so narrow. You got to tightrope it. It's all not good enough. It's all not good enough. So I don't understand what else you want me to say. If you want me to say, you got to fire Freeman before we get on the bus to Purdue, that's not going to happen. But this is in a bad spot. I don't know what people want me to say. Here's the other thing too. Yeah. The number one, you want to know the number one comment I've gotten after the Brady Quinn interview? The number one comment I've gotten, a lot of people reached out and just said, that's a really good get for your brand and whatever through SI, being able to do it on your show. That's a good get. Brady Quinn's a national guy. But a bunch of people messaged me and they were all like, dude, my wife really says thank you for getting Brady Quinn on. So many people reached out and they were just like, John, my wife really appreciates that you had Brady on. It's just like, he doesn't age. I'm over here. That's the thing, you guys. I'm over here falling apart. My hair's falling out. I'm all stressed out and skinny and whatever. Like, all this stuff ages me 10 years every day. I do a live show about Notre Dame. I age 10 years, whatever. Here's Brady Quinn. Every hair's perfectly placed. I'm telling you, you guys, I'm pretty sure we're losing our mind. We're pretty sure I'm losing my mind. Angela says, I reached out and told Johnny my 20-year-old self was drooling. Yeah, what about your 38-year-old self? Quit trying to act like that was a thing of the past, Rudy. You were into it then and you're into it now. Be honest. Oh, man. Anyways, it is, these are odd times, you guys. There you go, Angela. Admit it. Trying to say when I was 20. Here's the thing, man. You're in a bad spot. You're in a bad spot. And are you in a position? See, this is where it gets kind of sad. Are you in a position? By the way, we got a lot of phone calls. I'm going to give it to the callers again. I didn't get through all of them Wednesday. I'm going to get to you guys. I got just a couple points on Purdue, and then I'll bring it over to the callers. Let me take a look. Yeah, we got a good bank of callers. So I'll do a couple main points on Purdue, give it to you guys, super chats, that kind of thing. If Phil was one of the, Phil reached out to me too. If Brady comes knocking, I'm divorced in 0.5 seconds. Yep, you gone, upgrade. Oh, here's the thing, man. The way we were looking at A&M, like this is a must win for all these practical and perceptual reasons. That was the line I took, was why it was a must win. All those practical and perceptual reasons and all this stuff, whatever. Do you put Purdue tomorrow in one of those? I don't care what it looks like. You're in such a bad spot right now. You just need any kind of win. Like, are you at that point where you're just like, I cannot expect like really solid, good football on both sides of the ball, having an offense that looks like the real world or whatever. Like, we're just in a position now where you just need to take any win to temporarily tamp down the flames that are surrounding the Notre Dame program this week. Like, I'm just asking what your standard is for tomorrow. I don't feel like we're in any position to be expecting any sort of like high level, high class quality of play or whatever. I don't see how anybody could, like, we're just not in that spot. Like, the team's in such a bad position of what they did last week. I just think you gotta, you just gotta try and fight for any sort of win you can, just to tamp down the flames, you guys. This has been a really, really bad week. It's been a really, really bad week. Here's the other thing, man. Congratulations to all the people that wanted to be miserable, wanted to come into the year and say they like Notre Dame, but deep down they're waiting for Notre Dame to fail so they could say they're right and get their internet points. There's a bunch of people like that in this niche. Good for you. You all win. And what does it get you? Are you happy? Like, I'm seriously asking, are you happy? Because there's a lot of people in this niche that act like they like Notre Dame, but I feel like everything they say is negative and they're waiting for all the failure to happen so that they could jump on everything. Like, I don't know what that gets you. And I'll say this again. This is my argument. Rooting against Notre Dame succeeding doesn't put you like head of the class as some expert. That is like the default. The house money is on Notre Dame not succeeding. So, like, you're not breaking the mold there by going against the great. Like, that should be the expectation. Yeah, I've seen people say this too. Look at it this way. If you lose against Purdue, it helps Notre Dame because that helps clear the direction of where this is all going. You know what I mean? Like, if you're putting nails in it before you're lowering it into the ground, there's one, like, it would help clear that out. Right? Like, I don't know. It's just, this is rough, man. This is a rough spot to be. So I want to know, what do you expect tomorrow? I expect an ugly game. I kind of think the defense is going to play better. Offensively, I don't know what you're going to get. Purdue's going to absolutely stack the box and man up on the outside and say, try and throw the ball and win. Can Notre Dame do that? What makes you think they can't? So we need to get into this, and I want to know what you guys think. There's a lot going on in Notre Dame land that's really bad. The social media stuff's rough. There's rumors all over the place. There's rumors about Urban Meyer on Facebook. There's all sorts of weird stuff going on out there. Awful PR look across the board. Number one is, did you see they released the Freeman Coaches Collection, Under Armour, that thing that came out yesterday? It's absolutely hilarious. Years we've been begging. Well, how do we buy the stuff that Freeman's wearing? We've been begging for years. When are you going to release that to the public? Nothing. And then this week they decide to make the announcement that you can get the stuff Freeman's wearing. Yeah, awesome. Really good timing on that. So Notre Dame and Under Armour completely struck out. If you did it 1 week before, you would have sold out every single thing available for sale. You did it 1 week later, and the ad is literally like Under Armour's trying to allow everybody to look like Freeman. That's not a really popular thing this week. Absolutely hilarious. Typical Notre Dame timing. It's hilarious. 1 week, you're 1 week late. And what you really should have done is you should have released that before the season started to give you a run up where nothing could really interfere with the good vibes. Think about it. You had all of that pump up in the summer of what this was all going to be like. You had all of this pump up of what this was going to be like and all that all summer. You could have released it then when the vibes were still good and there was no losses on the ledger, and you had multiple weeks where there couldn't be a loss on the ledger because there was no games, and let people buy the Under Armour stuff then. You do it now, it's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious that you would time this out to release the Coaches Collection everybody's been begging for and wanting for years when the vibes with Freeman were good. And now that Freeman stock is as low as it's ever been, they release it. Absolutely hilarious. Typical Notre Dame. Just unbelievable. Here's the other thing that I'm struggling with is, what do you make of Northern Illinois' coach doing that thing where it's like he reached out to Freeman to tell him how to beat Notre Dame and all that? Here's why this is brilliant by Northern Illinois' coach. It comes off like, what a good guy, trying to help the young coach, develop and whatever, like one coach to the next. I'm going to try and help him develop or whatever. Okay, like that's how it's kind of coming off. Like, you can't say Northern's coach is a jerk for offering to help give Freeman advice or whatever, right? But in a way, it's absolutely humiliating. Even if he's sincere, Andrew, it's absolutely humiliating, and Hammock knows it too. That's why Hammock totally wins in the situation. He got the win in the field. Now you get to like be the good guy doing this. But even in doing this with genuine intentions as a good guy, you're dunking on Notre Dame's face 24/7. Do you feel me? Bleiberg, absolutely. Yes. Like it's humiliating. Think about it. Hammock has played this beautifully. He gets to take the high road, act like he's like helping out and everything, but he knows him and Northern Illinois are dunking over Notre Dame. It's just an awful, awful look to me. And there's nothing you can do about it. He's clowning ND while being completely The best type of clowning or trolling of anybody is when you could do it while being sincere about something else, because nobody could attack you for being disingenuous, but you're dunking on them while you're being genuine. It's the perfect scenario for NIU, and it's unbelievable. It's completely humiliating. Cutting Freeman's legs out from under him. I don't care if it's genuine or not. Literally, NIU is punking and clowning Notre Dame, and they deserve to. Good for that guy for dunking on Freeman's face. Even if this is genuine, it's absolutely humiliating. Living in Northern Illinois, been an embarrassing week. Okay. Everywhere you turn, somebody's making fun of you for this. It's absolutely awful. It's absolutely awful. No, John, you're wrong. This happens a lot. Some things you should just ignore because you have no idea. I don't know what you are talking about, but if you want me to ignore that I live in Northern Illinois and Notre Dame just lost to Northern Illinois, and this is my life when I leave my doorstep, I cannot ignore that. It is the life I live. I go outside, I'm in Northern Illinois. You turn on the news, it's about Northern Illinois. There's no way around it. What do you want me to do? Not live? He's been on every radio. You know what? Turn off a Notre Dame podcast. John's not in the world. I'm going to turn on sports talk radio in Chicago. SPF. Where's my bingo sheet? Yelling at SPF. Here we go. Let's cook it up. How about this? You know what? John's not in the mood for any of this Notre Dame crap. I'm going to go drive and run my errands around town. And instead of listening to a Notre Dame podcast, I'm going to turn on Chicago Sports Talk Radio to hear about the Bears since they got a week 1 win and see what they think about Caleb. What do? You turn on the radio. They're talking about Northern Illinois beating Notre Dame. On the radio station that never talks about college football because Chicago's not a college town. Oh, it's the talk of the state. You wouldn't believe it. I'm talking about coaches helping coaches. Buddy, you could do it all the time and not have anybody know about it. SPF, you could do it all the time. Think about what you're saying. Hammock could have called Freeman and not let everybody know he called Freeman. You think Marcus Freeman was the one saying that, putting that story out? Are you kidding me, SPF? Hammock could have done that and called Freeman and had a genuine conversation. Or if you wanted to make it about he could have done all that without letting everybody know he was doing all that. That doesn't get out on accident. Think about it. A phone conversation could be very personal unless one person wants to let it be known that he did it. And I'm not blaming Hammock. This is exactly what he should do to dunk on Notre Dame's face. But you're telling me, it happens all the time. It happens all the time. Yes, it doesn't become national news all the time, no. It happens all the time, yes. But does it become national news? No. Unbelievable. Let me get... Tom knows what I'm talking about. You're exactly right, Tom. You're right. He's been all over. He's been on all the Chicago radio stations. He's been on the news in Chicago, not even for the sports segment, on the news, all the sports stations, everywhere you go. Everywhere you go. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Jim Rome all over. Yeah, whatever, man. But dude, it's just an absolute nightmare. And then the final thing I'm going to complain about. Number one is good. Hang on, callers. I'm going to you. The Hammock thing was brilliantly played by him. He found a way to maximize this leverage, get the most embarrassment run off this for Notre Dame while making himself look good. Hammock played this perfectly. Before the game, let me be clear about this. Hammock played this perfect. Before the game, preparing to play Notre Dame, embarrassing Notre Dame at our place, and then after the game, how to handle it to get the most run out of it and embarrass Notre Dame the most while making himself look the best. Great job. Hammock deserves all the credit in the world. I am not mad at that guy for anything. He has played this absolutely beautifully. He's played it perfectly. This is the one you live the rest of your life off of. This is the win you retire off of. Like this, if you're Northern Illinois, this is it, and you got it. Good for that guy. Good for that guy. The final thing I'm going to complain about before I do the chats and go to the calls is you got to get the analytics dork up in the booth. I'm not doing this again. It's been bugging me all me all week. And I know people are going to say, John, we got an offense with the quarterback. You paid over $1 million or $2 million, depending on who you believe. You paid $1 million or $2 million we can't throw the ball past 10 yards. You have the worst passing offense in America. You are Notre Dame. You can't even throw the ball 10 yards. Yet again, you have this problem at Notre Dame where you have no semblance of a passing game or whatever. You pay this quarterback come in here. Now he's kind of hurt, but he wasn't good even before he was hurt. Now you got all these problems, whatever. I know I should be mad about all that. And if you can't tell, I am, and I have been. Okay? Of course I'm mad about all of the big picture stuff. As a side note, Notre Dame, you embarrassed yourself again with this trash following Freeman around like a little puppy and making it look like Freeman can't do anything without turning to that analytics dork and getting the answer. It literally made it 100% worse. Every single time the NBC camera tuned into Notre Dame's sideline, there was Freeman getting advice from this dork in his ear. And then when Freeman walked down the field and the guy wasn't right there, he panicked and they zoomed in and he turned around. Oh my God, get the analytics dork over here to tell me what to do. Notre Dame, you failed. You failed. This is not hard. All these coaches have this kind of guy. And you know what you do? You put them in the booth upstairs. They have a radio frequency and they radio into the head coach and it says 4th and 2 on this yard line, punt, 4th and 2 on this yard line, go for it, whatever. It just added fuel to the embarrassment that every time that NBC camera zoned in on the sideline, Freeman literally was looking for this dork to tell him something. It was totally embarrassing, adding fuel to the fire. I'm sorry. It was an awful look. How nobody thought of that, I don't know. It wasn't as obvious when they were on the road week 1 with the national broadcast. But now that it was your home cooking and they do a lot more Notre Dame stuff for the Notre Dame fans being their home thing, every time they zoomed onto that sideline, Freeman was consulting with this guy and panicked when the guy wasn't 1 foot from him. It was another weak look. I'm sorry. There's no sugarcoating it. Freeman lost on the field and off the field in every single way you could name, other than people are saying things that turned around with Deuce Knight. Has anybody seen that? I'm not even in the mood to think about it. Have you seen that? Oh, Notre Dame's back in it with Deuce Knight. Who knew? All you had to do was embarrass yourself on the field and you're right back in it. For the player, you need to change it all. I'm going to lose my mind. Oh. Anyways, so those are a list of the things that are bothering me. Super chats, calls. Here's what I'm going to say about Purdue. One is, I already told you what they're going to do. They're going to stack that box, dare Notre Dame to throw the ball. We're not going to be able to. It's going to be frustrating. If we win, it'll probably be close and annoying, and it'll feel mildly better than losing, but you're also going to feel like you're in a bad spot. Like, I'm already predicting how this goes. If it loses, everything's on fire. And if we win, it's going to be ugly. It isn't going to feel that good, but it's going to be better than losing. But on the postgame show, everybody's going to go, it's better than a loss, but we still have problems and we're not good. No one's going to be happy. It's just going to be less not happy. Dude, I've lived a miserable Notre Dame life. I know how this is going to go. That's exactly how it's going to go. You're either going to lose and it's all on fire even more, or you're going to win and win ugly and no one's going to love it, but it's better than losing. Whatever. So here's what I was going to say. If Notre Dame did their job last week and won, even ugly or whatever, and a sleepy home game after the A&M game, you win or whatever, here's what I was going to say. Follow me here. This was going to be my opening narrative had Notre Dame not done what they did last week. It is, when you look at Notre Dame football and Purdue football, and you ask Notre Dame Notre Dame people, Notre Dame whatever. What are the top games on your schedule here that you are like, you got to win, circled of like the top priorities, got to have it, most intense game, however you want to phrase that? How far down that list do you have to go as a Notre Dame person before Purdue shows up on the list? There's no way any Notre Dame person was going to say they valued that Purdue game and it was a bigger moment on the schedule than Texas A&M. No Notre Dame person would say that. There's no Notre Dame person that would say that the Purdue game overshadows Florida State. No one could say that. You're definitely not going to say that about USC. Here's where it gets tricky. I bet you if you ask Purdue people, the importance of the Notre Dame game would be a lot higher on the list for them than Purdue is for Notre Dame. Had Notre Dame not embarrassed itself, that was going to be my angle, that you are going into their place on the road. And I know for a fact you are higher on their list of key games than they are on ours. And it's not like our fault. A&M was what it was. Florida State is who they are. Like USC's, I just feel like Purdue would have this circled way higher on the gotta have it, really want it list than Notre Dame would. That was going to be my angle, saying that is a dangerous scenario to go into where the other team circles this game and it's a lot higher on their list of must-have games than it is on yours. And again, I'm not blaming Notre Dame for that. It's just the way it sets up. It's dangerous. Now that Notre Dame's done what they've done, everything's on the table. Everything's on the table. In my write-up for Sports Illustrated, I wrote, no one has any idea what they're going to get from Notre Dame. I have no idea what they're going to get from Notre Dame. You cannot trust them. You cannot trust them. Multiple people have asked this. Are we still having the tailgate? What is the deal with the tailgate? If we lose this game, are we still having the tailgate the next week? Everything's already bought and paid for. We're going. The house is bought. The house we're renting is paid for. The parking passes, that's the other thing, you guys. If we're piling on Notre Dame, let's pile on Notre Dame. How can parking be worth more than a ticket to the game? Like, I know I'm getting nitpicky here. How in the hell could parking cost like double what a ticket to see the event you're parking at? How does it make any sense? Like, I know Notre Dame's Notre Dame and they're going to do what they're going to do. But if we're piling on, I got to ask, how in the hell does it cost more to park than it does to go to the event by like more than double? I really struggle to understand that whole concept. Please tell me that's not real. Oh, it's real. The tickets to the Miami, Ohio game that I got are like $66. It's $150 for a parking pass if you're not a season ticket member, and it's a little cheaper than that if you are. Literally, it's like $150 if you got them. If you're not an early season ticket holder getting in on the early lottery or whatever, you get a break. But other than that, I think it was like $150. Tickets for the game are $66. You got to make that make sense to me. I don't understand it. Whether Notre Dame wins or loses this week, all of the plans are made for the tailgate. The house is already paid for, and we're going to have a gathering Friday night. People drink your beer, have something to eat, be miserable, but at least we'll be miserable together. So house in South Bend, you guys are invited. Come and go Friday night, just a little open house with Johnny Boy. Saturday, we're just going to have to entertain ourselves, you guys. We have the most fun tailgating group out there. We're lively. Everybody knows everybody. We're going to have a good time no matter what. So we're just going to drink our beer and we're going to have fun. And whatever happens. At least we're going to be with good people having fun. We'll make our own fun. Edith says, NIU fan here. Can I come? Absolutely. Do you have any advice on how to run a good football program? Tom Frowley says, John, the parking passes are in such high demand, simple economic. Why are they in such a... that many people want to tailgate? Like, I don't understand. The white lot is a big open green field, and I parked there for a bunch. Tom, I'm kind of get it and I kind of don't. The white lot is a huge field of green grass, and I used to park there for $25 and either walk or take a 5-minute free shuttle right to the stadium. I don't understand what's the big. Does everybody need to be in a big tailgate area? Why? Like attending a pre-funeral party. Yeah, exactly right. One more thing I'm going to yell at. Oh, I got crap for this. Callers, I'm coming to you. I'm sorry. One more issue, something I got called out for, and I'm going to back myself up, and I do not feel bad about it at all. Tell me I'm wrong. I'll tell you you're wrong. I said the other day, Tom's saying I'm not talking about the white lot. I'm talking about the premium spots near the stadium. Right, but Tom, so am I. Who wants to be in that nightmare traffic jam unless you're hosting a huge tailgate like I'm doing? That's what I don't get. That many people want to get in the middle of that nightmare traffic jam and have a huge tailgate? The best part of the white lot is you can see the toll road from there, and there's no traffic jam. That I'm surprised that many people want to pay 3 times as much to be in a guaranteed traffic jam. Doesn't sound like fun to me. Long week. Here's the other thing I'm going to complain about. John, will you be at the Stanford game? Not planning on it for multiple reasons. How many losses are we going to have by then? 6? Here's the thing, man. More people than you think, John. Apparently, Tom, but it's just, it blows my mind. It blows my mind that many people want to do that. It's a pain in the ass. It's not convenient. It is a nightmare getting in there and parking and stressing out that you get a good spot and lining up your car early to do all this to watch this product. The last thing I'm going to complain about. I said the other day, there's been a lot of Notre Dame games I've left at halftime. And I had a few people reach out to me and be like, are you serious? You really did that? You're a bad Notre Dame fan. I can't believe you've left at halftime. You have no belief in Notre Dame that you have left at halftime or early in the third quarter, and you've just been so frustrated you've left games. Yes. Let me break this down for you people. I had a few people that reached out to me and said, John, you don't strike me as the type of guy that would leave a Notre Dame game early and all that. Like, whatever. What kind of fan are you? I would argue that I'm a fan. Here's the thing. I go to Notre Dame games to watch Notre Dame play good football and win. I don't go there just to network and smoke cigars and ask about stock tips in the parking lot while I'm eating my wine and cheese. I don't go there I go to Notre Dame games to watch them play winning football and kick the crap out of somebody at our place. There has been multiple like USC games at, what was it? 03. I think we got blown out by USC. Was that the last Palmer year or something? 03 at home, left at halftime. It was like 31-0 at halftime or whatever, and I'm out of here. I'm not supporting that. Are you out of your mind? I'm not supporting that. I'm not going to sit there and support my own misery and then be in a traffic jam to leave. I'm leaving. You failed what I went there to see. Do you understand? You failed what I went there for. Once you have failed what I went there for, why am I going to stay there? I'm not. I'm leaving. Here's the other time this happens. This is what's more likely. Many, many times I've done this one. When Notre Dame plays somebody stupid, Meaning Notre Dame's playing a no-name team, not a big game, a team we have way more talent than whatever, and they're coming to Notre Dame Stadium, and it's the mid-third quarter, and we're struggling against a team like last week would have been one of these. Last week would have been one of these. Toledo would have been one of any of these type of things. And you're at Notre Dame and you're playing down to one of those horrible teams, and it's mid-third quarter and you're in a one-score game with one of these teams you have 5 times the talent then. Why am I going to sit there and see if you pull out an embarrassing last-second win over a team you should beat by 4 scores? I am not doing that. I'm leaving. You failed the day. Oh, John, last second we ended up winning or what? I would still be embarrassed by how we played. I'm not supporting that. I'm not supporting that. What do you not get? I'm not just there for the hell of it. I'm there to see Notre Dame play really high quality football. And at the point they don't, I'm out. John's a sore loser. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And if everybody was, maybe you wouldn't lose as much. SPF, if everybody took losing the way I did, there'd be a lot less losing around here. There's a standard. There's a standard. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to sit there and be miserable and support you playing down to a lower level opponent. You've already failed the mission of what I came there to see you do that day. I'm out. And I'll be halfway home on the toll road, not in a traffic jam. And if you manage, and I'll listen to it on the radio, and if you manage to eke out a win against a lower level team, it's better than losing, but I'm still mad. Brian Kelly doesn't sound too bad right now. Yes, he does. He doesn't sound any better. Oh, you know what else? That's another thing. While we're doing this, let's get mad about this. You know what I've been hearing all week? You know, Notre Dame wouldn't have lost that, or Brian Kelly wouldn't have lost that game. Brian Kelly wouldn't have lost that game. Yeah, you're right. He would have won this game, but he would have lost the first one. It's the funniest thing. It's like, you know, Brian Kelly wouldn't have lost that one. Yeah, you're right, but he would have lost the one the week before, and you would have been 1-1 anyways. I totally agree with you. That's the kind of game Kelly wins ugly last week. But he also loses the first one by 2 scores in the road in the SEC. So you're 1-1 anyways. Brian Kelly would have been undefeated with this schedule. Based on what evidence? The last time Brian Kelly had a schedule this easy, he lost to Cincinnati at home. Check yourself. Also, what else you going to tell me? Brian Kelly has a good record in winning big games on the road at Notre Dame? You can't say that either. Give me a break. Literally the last time Notre Dame had a schedule this easy, it was Brian Kelly and he lost Cincinnati at home. So spare me that. Are you sure about that, John? We'll find out if A&M's any good. That's another thing I've been having a problem with. A lot of people are saying, what if you end up finding out that A&M's no good and what that does to that win? That's really tough because entering that game, it was a big moment and nobody knew how good Notre Dame was or how good they were. But the buildup of the moment with no evidence on the front end because it was game one, how do you make those make sense? What if you find out A&M down the road is really no good at all? But when we were lining up to play them, it was the biggest game and you never knew. And it was Mike Elko. Ooh. It's been a long week. It's been a very long week. Eric, $20 holler. I will never forgive Freeman and Denbrock for the NIU loss. Prediction, ND comes out flat against Purdue. Thanks for the $20 holler. I'm not even worried they come out flat. They may come out ready to play and just not be good enough to do anything about it. Like, that's the other thing, right? Like, there's the coming out flat, which we all know what that looks like. I'm starting to worry offensively. They don't have to come out flat to be bad. You could come out ready to play and be bad because you're just bad. What about that? What What about that, you guys? You don't have to be flat to be bad. You could just be bad. You could be ready to play and be bad. I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my mind. Holy crap. Grace Kelly. James, you're a unique one, man. Always there with the casket. Thanks for the donations. Let's get back to this. And then the callers. I promise you, I'm coming to you. $2 holler on behalf of all the husbands. Thanks, Johnny. I'm glad I could deliver Brady Quinn for all the wives of the always Irish faithful. They all deserve to be happy. V1 Rotate, the $5 holler. I do think that we're just a bad showing. And I do think that we just had a bad showing. And game one team will be back and we will win and win big. Rotate. I appreciate your confidence. I do not share it because a lot of the issues Notre Dame had are bigger than like a 1 week, we need to do something different in practice issue. The quarterback thing's kind of a problem. You still, how do we end up finding ourselves in these spots? $5 holler from Down Pat. ND must drop SAU score to settle with the fans 87-10. Otherwise, carry the chicken drum. Yeah, that stupid drum. At least the drum's at their place so they could get it through the window. $20 holler from Christopher. Thank you. Christopher often donates like $20. Doesn't even have a comment, which means a lot to me. You don't even want anything out of it. You just want to donate. It's really nice. Don't forget the callers. $2 holler. Oh, man. What else? I didn't know that. People are saying I was on Uncle Lou, and I don't know what Uncle Lou did with my stuff. Probably a mashup of me freaking out or something. Did I see the Jeremiah Love pack? No, I did not see the Jeremiah Love podcast. I'm not in the mood to sit here and listen to Notre Dame players talk about Notre Dame. I'm not in the mood. So no, I did not. And here, okay. I got something else I'm going to yell at. It never ends. I got one more thing I'm going to yell at. Then I'm going to the callers. Was it Jeremiah Love or one of these players had a quote out about this I'm airing out my grievances before we get to the week. Uncle Lou's morning show had an angry image of you all week from somebody who submitted it to Lou. Good for him. Glad I'm getting run in SEC country. I'm glad I'm getting run in SEC country. That's what it takes to be a big star. So I think it was Jeremiah Love. And if it isn't, I don't want to misattribute this quote. Somebody said, one of the players said something about if we win last week, everybody's with us. We lose this week. Now everybody's against us. That quote came out. Tell me who did that. Was that Love or I don't want to misattribute the quote. One of those guys had a quote out I saw that said, when we win, everybody's with us. When we lose, everybody's against us, whatever. Not true at all. Not true at all. Nobody became a Notre Dame fan after A&M that wasn't a Notre Dame fan before A&M. National pundits giving Notre Dame credit because they had to because Notre Dame wins. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about fans. No one decided to love Notre Dame after them beating A&M. People that like Notre Dame. People that hate Notre Dame. So we were happy when that happened. And then it's like, and you are with us. Well, yeah, we're with you all the time. So when you win, we're happy. And then when we lose, you're against us. We're not against you. We're with you and we're miserable. We're with you and we're miserable. We're not against you. We're with you and we're miserable. That's a totally different thing. We're not against you. The reason everybody's upset is because we're with you and it's not going well. That's not against you. We're with you. We're just miserable. We're with you. We're just miserable. That's different than against you. We're with you and we're sad. We're with you and we're mad. We're with you and we're never going anywhere. We're trapped. Nobody in this fan base is going to go choose another team to like. We're with you and we're all trapped and miserable. Nobody's against you. The problem is we're all with you and we're all upset. It's the opposite of against you. We're with you and we're sad. We're with you and we're mad. I don't know how tomorrow's going to go because I think I'm cracking up. 469, you're on the line. Make it make sense.
Hey, John.
How
are you?
How does it sound like I'm doing? I'm okay, I guess.
Hey, you're probably better than me. I'm driving through your favorite state.
Oh, God. Are you in Michigan? Where are you?
Yes. Yeah, I'm in Michigan, coming from the UP.
Man, well, just get through that state as quick as you can. Get out of there. I don't trust those people. I don't trust those people anymore, and I trust Notre Dame to play a good game at home against a lower-level MAC opponent, okay? I don't trust them. Drive safe.
Right. So I'm calling to have a couple things on my mind. One of them is I listen to a number of different Notre Dame podcasts, and nobody is talking about Riley Leonard having a bruised hand going into that game. And it's almost like people are talking about how bad he was throwing the ball. I think a bruised hand would have something to do with that, because it was caused when he hit his hand on the Texas A&M defensive lineman's helmet. So if you got a bruised hand, you're having trouble gripping the football, being able to chunk that ball. I'm pretty sure an average quarterback, if he's got a bruised hand, could easily become a below average and even just a completely ineffectual quarterback, which is what we saw. I'm just really, really struggling to understand why people are trying to frame it as Riley Leonard is so bad, like that's just what he is, when he clearly had an injury or at least he was hurt that would affect his performance.
Man, telling you, I think the Michigan air, you're breathing it in. It's getting to you. The Michigan air you're breathing in. Dude, no one wants to hear that. Even if it's true, no one wants to hear that. Are you kidding me? Nobody wants to hear it. No one wants to hear those excuses. No one wants to hear those excuses. Oh, my hand was bruised. That's why we have no offense. Bro, you're in Michigan. No, you're breathing in that Michigan air. It's getting to you, bro. No one wants to hear that. No one wants to hear that.
Explain then how Riley Leonard goes from winning the Manning Academy passing tournament, how he goes from winning that to looking like he doesn't belong on the football field.
He did good in a camp in the summer with I don't know, man. But the piling on now is that the passing numbers were never that great with him. And then week one, they weren't that great. And then now everybody's just piling on. But I did not expect anybody to call in. And go, does anybody remember that bruise on his hand? Like the week we've just had, no one is going to be open to hearing that a bruised hand from the week before. And that's going to make everybody feel better. Like that's unfortunate, man. No one wants to hear that. No one wants to hear it.
I'll tell you what I expect to happen. Freeman was asked about Riley Leonard being injured, and he pushed back and he said, "No, he's not injured." to me.
So then what are the
way things
excuses
have
for the
gone
bad
in the-
play? What are the excuses for the bad play then?
Hold on. Where I'm going with this is, it's like a vote of confidence. When a coach gets a vote of confidence, it's actually the signs of a beginning of the end. So Freeman, the way he answered as far as talking about Riley Leonard's not injured, I think he's setting it up to where he's not wanting to tip his hand that they're looking at not playing Leonard. And I think they're gonna end up starting what's his name? Angeli.
I thought
they're gonna end up starting Angeli. What's that?
I thought that earlier in the week. Yesterday, Freeman seemed pretty adamant that it was going to be Riley Leonard. So I thought maybe they were going to milk this all week and then later in the week or early tomorrow be like, oh, he tried to go, but he's too hurt. He can't do it or whatever. I thought that's what they were going to do. But Freeman seemed more adamant yesterday that it was going to be Riley Leonard. But you're in a bad spot. You're in a bad spot. If he's not mobile at all and he already can't throw the ball downfield at all, what are you going to get out of Riley Leonard? I don't understand. If you want to protect him and not run him because of these injuries, but he also struggles to throw the ball past 10 yards, I don't know what you think you're going to get out of that. Good luck. Good luck at Purdue.
I think the reason why Freeman would basically present, hey, Leonard is our guy, media doesn't have access to the practices, at least not in significance. So they can do whatever they want in practice, and then during the press conference say whatever, And he's going to use every ounce of coaching advantage that he can. And so, what better way to have an advantage over as far as coaching over Purdue than to have Purdue planning for Leonard as the starter, and then game time decision. In warm-ups, Leonard aggravated an injury and he can't go.
I'm telling you, man, I understand the angle you're going on. It's just I'm just not in the mood to be playing games and for Notre Dame to be tricky and they're no one's in the mood for it, man. Everybody's just I'm in too big of a bad mood. My thought earlier in the week was they're going to slow play this, announce later that Leonard tried to go and he can't, and behind the scenes they're preparing Angeli. And I don't know, but I don't know what you're going to get. But I'm telling you, Purdue is going to stack the box, go man, dare Notre Dame to throw the ball to beat them. Notre Dame's either going to run the ball into a wall 80 times like we're used to and do nothing, or be able to throw the ball and win, or have an embarrassing, frustrating loss, and the tailgate becomes a funeral next week.
Yeah. I mean, the good thing that I see is
there is one?
Yes. Marcus Freeman has responded really well. You look at every one of the games that they've lost, they've always responded well after a loss. So I expect Notre Dame to come out and look like dogs from hell and want to tear Purdue players' heads off.
Yeah, I think there was 3 wins in a row after the Marshall loss, 5 in a row after the Stanford loss in the first year. And the only reason that's in my head is because I think I wrote about it yesterday. Here's the problem, though. The problem is you can't be there again. That's the problem. When Freeman said we've been here before, yeah, that's the problem, bro. That's the exact issue, is that you've been here before and you can't be there again. That's the issue. That doesn't make me feel better. It makes me feel worse for you to say we've been here before. You're not supposed to ever get there again. Did we learn nothing from Marshall? Did you learn nothing from Stanford? Nothing?
Existentially, it sucks. And existentially, it's like, is Freeman really the guy? And it begs the question, is this the beginning of the end for Freeman? But the season, as far as the season itself and this game individually, I think they'll be fine. And I think they'll look like, oh, wow, this is the team we were hoping to see kind of thing. And I think it's going to be because the way the team has responded in the past after losses.
I hope so. Listen, man, I'm telling you what, I'm impressed. I'm glad you're having a little bit of a more positive view on this, because I don't know if I'm in that mind space to be able to do that right now. I'm glad you're trying to kind of balance that out and think about these kind of things. Somebody needs to. It just ain't going to be me. Somebody needs to do it, but it ain't going to be me this week. So I appreciate you trying to look on the brighter end. Anything else, my friend? I want you to have safe travels. Get the heck out of Michigan as soon as you can. I'm worried about you. Get out of Michigan. Get that truck out of Michigan.
Well, I'm right in the heart of Michigan, so I got a ways to go.
Woof. Anything on the way out, man? Thank you.
Yeah. One more thing. Thinking of Marcus Freeman, when he's talked about the way that
okay. I told him to get out of Michigan. I think Michigan ate him alive. Caller, I did not hang up on you. I could not hear you, and you were in a tunnel, and then it cut out. I did not hang up on you. Thank you for giving me a call. I hope you didn't just wipe out in your truck in the state of Michigan. I'm afraid of what'll happen to you. They're going to come help you, and you're going to join their cult and everything else and whatever. So I hope you're okay. Bruce, what do you think? 646, you're in the mix. I'm going to try and breeze through these calls as quick as I can. What's going on, Bruce?
What's going on, John?
Nothing good.
Things, right?
Nothing good.
Nah, man, wrong attitude. Speaking into existence.
Are you kidding me?
Listen, here's the first thing, right? I'm looking at this. Purdue won 49-0 last week against Indiana State, and they still gave up over 100 yards rushing to Indiana State. So the fact is, this week, come out and prove they will play with their hair on fire. I'm pretty sure they're going to get a couple of passes off of these guys. We know that secondary is elite. Secondly, Denbrock can't be this dumb. Line it up. I don't care if they stack the box. Line it up and pound the rock. You gave up more than 100 yards rushing to Indiana State. Notre Dame, line up, pound the rock. It's that simple. Notre Dame wins this game. I don't think it's a concern now. I would have said that last week, but I don't think it's a concern. Just go back to playing Notre Dame football, man. That's simple.
That's such a basic thought process. And you know what lines right up with that, Bruce, is your biggest playmakers early in the year are your running backs. Both of them, Price and Love, make game-winning plays for you, and they're exciting. Every time you put the ball in their hands, something good can happen. I don't understand why you don't lean on that a little bit more. Like, lean on that a little bit more. Give those guys the ball more. And you know what else I want to see, Bruce? It is apparent that the deep passing game and the intermediate passing game is going to be a struggle yet again for the 80th year in a row in my life. Get those tight ends a little bit more involved. I think Evans had a couple catches, contested third down catches. Can those guys get involved in the passing game a little more regularly? Use what you have that is working. Lean on those running backs. 15 touches between those two backs is criminal.
They'll get back to it. They'll get back to it. This is a bounce back game. Freeman knows this. Denbrock knows this. Al Golden knows this. These players know it. It's a bounce back game. I bet you this year was probably one of the toughest, was one of the toughest practices they've had since last year. They are going to be ready and locked in.
Bruce, I love you, but you can't. The problem I'm going to have an aneurysm on the air. The problem I'm having, Bruce, is you can't be in the position to need to have a bounce back game. That's the problem with all of these narratives. You couldn't do what you did last week. You couldn't do it. You're not in the position to be able to allow to have a bounce back game. That's my problem.
John, I get it, but all that's done. And right now, the only thing is ahead of us is one game at a time, go 1-0. That is the only thing. The big picture stuff, you deal with that during the offseason.
You're right.
You go 1-0 each week.
I know you're right, but I hate it. I know you're right, but I hate it. How about that, Bruce? Like,
Okay.
I know you're right, but I
got you.
hate it. I hate confronting what you're saying because it's accurate. And I know that that's the only way you could look at it. We can't go back into time. That's where I'm getting all messed up, Bruce. Yet last week was the one you couldn't have, and it was. And now all you could do is move forward. But I'm so stuck in that. I'm so twisted all around, Bruce. Like, I get it. All you could do is move. You couldn't have to have a bounce back. It couldn't be that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right, quick 2 more points, and then I'll get off and let everybody else roll. So I saw somebody in the chat earlier talking about how unlikely it was to get into the playoff. No, the whole point of a 12-team playoff is that one loss does not ruin your season. Also, we got to think, the teams in the Big Ten, the teams in the SEC, they are going to cannibalize each other. Notre Dame, as long as they handle business the rest of the way, will make the 12-team playoff. Why? Because they're good enough. 2, we know this thing is all about money. We're forgetting the money component. And Notre Dame is a major draw in college football. They're one of the biggest brands. So at the end of the day, hate them or love them, whether people are hate watching to watch Notre Dame lose and get stomped, or whether they love them like we do and they're Irish fans to the core, at the end of the day, Notre Dame is a mega draw. So as long as they do what they're supposed to do, they will get selected for a 12-team playoff, not for 12.
Again, I appreciate the positivity, but the response to that from the majority of the fan base, Bruce, is going to be, number one, after what we saw last week, why would any Notre Dame fan even conceive it's possible that Notre Dame's going to run the table if they're capable of playing that poorly last week in these major areas? No one has any confidence that they can pull it all together and win the rest of these games. Furthermore, even if you did, how are you supposed to have confidence in the playoff in a team you just saw play this bad? People are upset,
that
Bruce.
Doesn't matter. Just get there, John.
Oh.
That doesn't matter. Just get there. One game at a time.
Man.
This is what listen. One game at a time. Just get there.
Ooh.
We see it in the NFL. We see it in the NBA. All these other sports. Just make the tournament. That's all you need to do. Just make the tournament. Everything else from there will be what it will be. Just get there. And if you can incrementally improve each week out, do what you're supposed to do, things will be fine. Especially if USC remains good and you get that big win in the rivalry game at the end of the year, that is huge.
I'm telling you.
That will be our quote-unquote 13th data point and conference championship game. That will be huge. But one game at a time.
I like this.
I don't know why that's so hard to get for so many people.
I like this. I'm over here and I'm all miserable and I'm all mad and whatever and all that stuff. And the first 2 callers have a little bit of positivity. Factually, practically speaking, everything you're saying is accurate and true, Bruce. I just have a hard time fighting through what I saw last week to envision Notre Dame doing the things it would take to string that out the way you're saying it. That's all. Like, I have a very, very hard time looking at what I looked at, being like, seeing them walking the path that I just have a hard time seeing it. I want to be wrong, but I don't have any confidence in that right now. How could you, man? How could you have confidence?
Have confidence in the Purdue game. Just have confidence in the Purdue game. That's it. And then after that, have confidence in the Miami of Ohio game. That's it. Real quick, as you mentioned, Miami of Ohio. Man, listen, whether the tailgate was canceled or not, we were going to be there. And I'll tell you, obviously it's not. But if the tailgate was canceled, Ben was going to come looking for you.
Yeah, Ben was going to find me. He was going to find me. Listen, here's what I've been telling everybody. Everybody knows how upset I've been. Of course we're having the tailgate, man. We're going to have a good time with our people. All the regulars are going to be there. Like,
that's right.
The weather's looking like it should be warm and nice. Like, we're going to have a good day out there no matter what. And so we're going to have fun with our people and we're going to do the best we can. And we're just going to commiserate together. And everybody will feel a little better, though, if you could go beat Purdue and knock the edge off a little bit with the win. It'd go a long way.
Right. All right, last quick thing, and then I'm done, I promise. You mentioned Deuce Knight earlier. You say he's back in the mix for Notre Dame. Is that what I heard?
All I know is there's a whole bunch of stories out right now about, look at Notre Dame getting back in the mix to hold on to Deuce Knight. And there's another twist back in Notre Dame's favor. Like, I've seen a few of those articles and people referencing that on Twitter, that it looked like Notre Dame's back in the mix and he doesn't want to decommit. He's not ready to do that. Like, so now I have no idea what to expect at all. but my patience for all of these games is really like on thin ice right now, given where the team's at. But
Gotta deal with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man.
So what I would say on that, what I wrote down when you mentioned that is, one, maybe he just wanted to be courted, right? Everybody wants to be loved, and all these young kids, they want to get the flowers thrown at them wherever they want to go. They want to get that, we'll give you this, we'll give you that, we'll make you the starter, you'll be a star here. They want to take all the pictures and blah, blah, blah. Maybe he just wanted to be courted because he committed to us so early. He verbally committed so early. And remember, he was putting in a lot of work in terms of telling other guys, high-level guys, come to Notre Dame, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. And so maybe he sees this and thinks, I really can be the difference maker. And if I'm the difference maker, that's legendary throughout the rest of my life if I'm the difference maker at Notre Dame, of all places. So that's what I had to say, John. Thanks so much for taking my call, man.
Hey, Bruce, I appreciate you trying to balance me out, and I need that sometimes. Good caller. People love your voice. They said it sounds like you got a lot of testosterone. That's what one of the chats said, Bruce. They heard your voice, and somebody literally chatted, this guy sounds like he's got a lot of testosterone. I think that's a good compliment, Bruce. I don't think anybody's saying that when they hear my voice or see my face. So take that compliment. Hey, Bruce. Yeah, go ahead.
One more thing real quick. Hey, always Irish fam, guys, listen, please hit that like button when you come in. It does a whole lot for John, for anybody who's a YouTube content creator. We really appreciate that. Hit that button. There's 256 people in here right now and less than 60 likes. That is a terrible ratio. Hit the button, please.
Thank you. Oh, I appreciate that. Spoken like a true YouTuber. Go see Bruce Hopes the format and go subscribe to his too. Bruce, have a good weekend. Try and enjoy the game, and then I'll see you in a week. John. I'll see you in a week, okay?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Take it easy, bro.
See ya. Oh, man. What a good guy. I can't believe the first two calls are going on the positive end of this. I'll take it. Whatever, man. That's what I open up the phones. You never know what you're going to get. Never give up, never give in. $5 holler. I lost cell reception. I am good. Look at him. He's checking in. He's checking in from the hills of Michigan. I'm glad to know. If something goes wrong and they abduct you, make sure you let us know. We'll send a search party across the border. We'll send a search party across the border. $5 holler. Hey, caller. Drew Pine was in the Elite 11. It placed well. How did that work out for him? Oh, Ryan Elliott, $5 holler. Thank you. Deepak, $10 holler. I need a D pack of beers to knock the edge off. I'll tell you that right now. Yeah, John's going to be out there. I'm going to be out there serving sloppy joes at the old tailgate. I know how you kids like them extra sloppy. I made them extra sloppy for you. You're scaring us, lady. It's a hilarious one-liner from that. It just has that whole scene has no purpose really in the movie other than it's just hilarious. Adam Sandler. I know how you kids like them extra sloppy. You're scaring us, lady. And they all laugh. And then the lady laughs. That's the best part. Does anybody know what I'm talking about from Billy Madison? When he says, you're scaring us, lady, even the lady laughs, which is the funniest part because they're scared of. Anyways, I'm losing my mind. 918, let's make it great. What's going on? Are you going to be positive too?
Oh, no. I'm piling on.
There we go. All right. Hey, I'm open for whatever, man. I'm down for whatever. Let me know what you got, brother.
Hey, John, this is Mike in Oklahoma. How you doing, buddy?
I've been better. It's been a very, very long week. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, it has for all of us. Hey, a couple of things here to hit on. This is Notre Dame football. Last week I'm calling in and I'm the Marcus Freeman hype guy, talking about everything that he did at Texas A&M, and then talking about how once we saw the video of him leading the team out the tunnel, I'm exclamating him as the face of the program and how he had so much support and so much backing, et cetera, so on, as everybody's been talking about, tweeting, putting stories out there. And then all of a sudden, we see the release of the coach of the team that you just lost to, asking if you need help, basically. Yep. Come call me, come see me, whatever.
Yep.
And my first thought is, when did Nick Saban ever
punched down? When has Kirby Smart ever punched down? When has Bill Belichick ever punched down? I've never heard those stories. They may have reached out collectively to one another. Urban Meyer's probably reached out to somebody. I get that. But when do you punch down in life? When does that happen? I don't get that, especially a program like Notre Dame. And I don't fault Marcus for the way the story played out. I mean, maybe there's some blame to go around for some of these Tribune storyline writers and stuff releasing this. I get it. They need print reads and things of that nature. But I just don't understand, why you would even consider that. I would have loved for this to have happened. I would have loved for the story that came out that said, which reached out to Marcus Freeman and asked for help, and this was Marcus Freeman's response. Look, bro, you will always be my little bro. Take this win, go salivate, go produce at your program. I got this. Thank you, no thanks.
Well,
and then proceed to go on with his career.
Here's my question with all this. Who finds out that this happens? Do you feel me? Like, if you really want to analyze this situation, like when I was getting mad about it and I was feeling embarrassed seeing these headlines on Twitter and all this stuff, and I refused to write an article about it on Sports Illustrated because I don't want to highlight it, I was thinking, how does this story get out? Marcus Freeman isn't going to be quick to let all the reporters know that little old Northern Illinois coach was giving him pointers after the game. So the only way it gets out is by the Northern Illinois PR people. They're the ones who put it out. And so it's just a nightmare. And there's nothing you could do about it. Hammock gets to take the high road, but the high road is him dunking and posterizing Notre Dame and making Freeman appear to be 2 inches tall. The best part of this is Hammock gets to do this, and you can't call him a jerk or anything, because on the surface, it's a totally safe thing to do, being like, oh, I'm going to help him out and do the right thing, and we're all in this coaching thing together. It is the ultimate win for Hammock. You could retire off of it. Slam dunking on Marcus's face, making him look 1 inch tall, but doing it all in a classy, above board way that nobody could question. It is absolutely beautifully played by Northern Illinois and Hammock. Wow, what a week for Northern.
Yeah. I'm just dumbfounded that of Marcus Freeman's response, if that was his response. I don't know the history of this week, if he's actually verbalized that he actually did say, I had that conversation. People
are saying that the NIU coach has been on every radio show saying that he had that conversation. And so if he was,
we haven't heard from Freeman yet.
That's not something somebody should ask Freeman if that actually happened. And all he would say is, you know what, him and I talked after the game. He's a good guy, whatever. And he wouldn't get into the nature of the discussion. But people are saying that coach is on. I don't know. But the only way that gets out comes from the Northern Illinois PR end. It doesn't come from the Notre Dame end, because the Notre Dame end is it's a hand of weakness. There's no benefit for that coming out from the Notre Dame end. So NIU's PR thing is cranking this up, and it's exactly what they should do. Somebody donated here. Let me get this. $5 olive from Brendan. Seeing Brady Quinn on the channel was awesome. What's next? Shane Gillis. Do not think for a second we're not working on that one. Goolsby and I may be working an angle for Shane Gillis. We're trying. Go ahead, caller. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So anyways, big picture here. A couple of things, John. Mike Goolsby alluded to something going in and out of this week and coming into this weekend. He mentioned something about the lack of a home field advantage, et cetera, of Notre Dame Stadium, and how teams are intimidated, players don't get up. Brady Quinn is now kind of somewhat piling on about players need to do this and do that. And we talked going into the Texas A&M game, where I made a comment that said, if we lose the Texas A&M game, there's bigger things that need to be discussed. And Pat Cotter and yourself and some other people, Mike Goolsby, could elaborate a little bit more on what ails Notre Dame football from moving forward. Obviously, one of the things is in my mind, I think that Notre Dame football is not on the radar like it is at Alabama, Georgia. And that what I mean by that is I don't think that Notre Dame comes to the head coach or the coaches in the football program and says, we're going to step aside. You do you. You run your program the way you want to. Do whatever you got to do. If you need this, it's on you. You got it. We'll stay out of your way. So that's a conversation for another day, particularly if they lose another game. But I just think there's bigger things that are below the surface other than, quote-unquote, Marcus Freeman, as Commander Luke has been pimping in his chat with you on this show about Marcus Freeman needs to go. Well, here's the question, everybody. If you get Marcus Freeman out of here today or tomorrow or Sunday, who are you going to get to come in here? I'm not saying you can't get a replacement coach to come in here, but I would just like to figure out exactly what you guys are thinking and who you think is going to come here. Not only come here and be the coach, who's going to turn the program around? What in the hell do you think Marcus Freeman's been doing? He's been turning the program around from where it was with DK. Have the results been there to merit that turnaround or to see a big jump in wins and a national championship? Not yet. But has anybody else done it? What in the hell has Brian Kelly done? Did he win a national championship? No, he did not. Did Charlie Weiss? No, he did not. So humble us.
Okay.
Give me some examples.
All right. Let me give you an example. I think the biggest complaint I've seen about Freeman, this is a good caller. I like engaging in this thought exercise. I think one of the biggest complaints I've seen is these kind of issues are why you cannot hire a guy with no experience to Notre Dame. And that's what I've heard. And so would people feel better if you had Luke Fickell, who knows how to run a program and it's going to be more stable, but he's not as an electric personality as Freeman is, but he knows how to run a program and build a program and run the ball or whatever you're going to do. I don't know. Like, is Luke Fickell the answer, or are people really going to go? Are we going to go down the path of you go offer Saban a big bag to come off the TV set? Or how do you get Urban Meyer to want to come to Notre Dame and repent for his sins and coach at Notre Dame as a good Catholic boy, come home to repent for his wrongdoings and having the blonde sitting on his lap at the bar? Like, I don't know what people want. They just don't want this right now, right?
Well, I don't think anybody wants where we are right now. You certainly don't want a loss like NIU, which, by the way, at the end of the season, when it does come to the playoff, even if we do win out, we gotta have convincing wins to overshadow this loss, because this is going to come into consideration whether we beat USC and are 11-1 at the end of the year. People are going to look back and say, yeah, but you guys lost to NIU. So we can have an NIU loss, but our wins from here forward, we can't be squeaking stuff out. We can't be hitting late field goals with the clock running out at the end of the game to secure a win. We can't have that. We got to have convincing wins to convince people to put us into the playoffs. We don't know if everybody's going to finish the season with 11-1 records. If they do, yeah, Notre Dame is a mouthpiece and is a money and is a brand. We all understand that, but equally, we are also the bad guy. We're the one that they don't want in there. We're the one that they want to lose. We're the one that they want to see NIU come in and have a victory and have their coach ask you if you need advice. They want us to look as bad. Look, game day against Texas A&M, the whole world was against us. We hadn't even snapped the ball yet, and they had already wrote us off. So if you don't think they're going to try to do that when the playoff committee starts meeting at the end of the season to put Notre Dame in there, you guys better rethink it. They're going to try everything they can. They're going to pick on that schedule. They're going to look at every ins and outs of the season and figure out a way. Is it worth getting Notre Dame in there? One, yeah, it is. But can we keep them out? If we can keep them out, let's keep them out.
If
they don't like us for whatever reason.
That is another reason this last week could not happen. I've been saying 11-1 makes the playoff, and 11-1, maybe even going into this season in the summer, I was saying 11-1 even angles Notre Dame to be in position for maybe the 5 or the 6 seed. Maybe you could host a game or something in South Bend. You ruined all that. if you're going 11-1,
Yep.
let's assume they can go 11-1, which I am not sure of. I'm not convinced of at all. That has to be proven to me week by week. All my faith is shattered. I can't trust anything when you do what you did last week. No trust at all with the program right now. Even if you go 11-1 now, it couldn't be that one. It couldn't be that one. And you're not getting the, even if Notre Dame goes 11-1 and they can't keep you out of the playoff, even if it happened, you're not getting that home seed. That's gone. You can't lose to Northern. You're going to have a tough on the road game somewhere you don't want to be. Notre Dame was in the catbird seat, man. They had an angle to that home playoff game and they ruined it all at home and they messed it all up, period.
Yeah. Hey, last thing, John. So you mentioned something earlier in the show about possibly whether it was Jeremiah Love or somebody talking about, you know, when we lose, support us. When we win, support us. I believe something to that effect.
I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Here's what I would say to any player, any coach, or anybody connected to the university. If you're speaking to those of us that are in the stands, let me just say this. And Jeremiah Love, if you're listening, I hope you pay attention to what I'm saying. Yes, you guys looked abysmal last Saturday. I was in the stands the previous Saturday supporting you. Okay? I was in my living room last week supporting you all the way till the final snap. I'm getting my ass in my truck this or next Thursday, and I'm driving to LaPorte, Indiana, and spending 3 days up there to come see you and your teammates and your coaches and your university play football. I've been doing it for decades. I've been putting money into that school like no end, like millions of people have. I hope you understand that. We don't quit on you. And here's our message to you. Don't quit on us. Go out there and kick ass this weekend. If you're an 11-1 team, show us you're an 11-1 team. Jeremiah, if you're an elite back, show us you're an elite back. Don't just say it. Go out there and do it. Here's another thing, Jeremiah. Why don't you build your teammates up and get them fired up? Why don't you demand your captains to start acting like captains and start getting fired up? They look dead. I couldn't tell last weekend if it was an NIU home game or a Notre Dame home game. Why don't you start repaying us with some fruits, with some heart, with some fire, with some Notre Dame branded football? And go out and win this weekend. Prove us all wrong.
Yeah, it's just tough.
And we'll keep supporting you either way.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a tough, it's a tough dynamic. But hey, man, I can hear the frustration in your voice. And hopefully we'll all get through this. And you got to find a way to win tomorrow. Kind of tamp down the flames, and we'll reassess. Okay. Hey, thanks for the call today, man. Try and have a good weekend.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right.
Oh man, this show is a mess. What a mess. Never give up, never give in. $10 hour. Closing thought. That closing thought was that Freeman might be wearing guys out in practice after highly emotional games. I have heard multiple things, you guys. I have heard that Notre Dame ran the guys too hard last week after A&M. And then I've heard that they didn't run them hard enough by giving them Thursday and Friday as walkthroughs. I don't know what to believe. They ran them too hard and not enough. I don't know what to tell you. But the bigger piece of it is, I would love to know, and I'm never going to get this answer. I would love to know, behind the scenes, what did Notre Dame's coaching staff think about the practices last week? You'll never get that answer because they're not going to be that truthful. I want to know what those coaches thought. As the week was going by and they were preparing for NIU, I would love to know whether those coaches thought, you know what? I'm seeing a lot of energy and a bounce back and a physical and an emotional bounce back from A&M. They're good to go. Did Freeman feel like our team is fired up from being ranked number 5 in the country and they're ready to go now? And they're in the right mind frame to go from number 5 to number 3. Let's go. Or was Freeman thinking, man, our guys are dragging ass. Like I could tell they're tired and they're physically beat up and they're dragging and we're sloppy in practice and I can't get the guys zoned in. I would love to know the honest to God truth of what they felt about that week of practice. Lou Holtz was a master of being able to take that measurement, right? Lou could always take that temperature of his team in the week of practice and then know when he needed to dial it up or turn it down. Lou had that feel, and you can't, I don't know if you can acquire that, if you could learn that, I don't know. But Lou always had that pulse. And when he got that feeling, that's when he would crank up the dramatics and sell the guys that they were going to lose to anybody they played and that they were no good or whatever. And other weeks, he could crank it back down and build up the confidence. I would love to know what they think. I would love to know what they think about the week of practice, because whatever you did, you failed. Whatever your preparation was, do the opposite. Like, I literally mean that. You were nowhere close to passing this test. However you prepared for this moment, do the opposite next time. Lou also had some inexplicable losses and he also has a championship, though. You're right, Lou had some inexplicable losses, but on the high end, the guy won a championship. So I'm going to give him more credit than anything I'm going to give anybody else in the last 30 years. 917, what's going on? Yeah.
Hi, John. It's Pat from West Palm.
Hey, what's going on, man? Hey, it's been a while. What's on your mind, my friend? I mean, there's a lot going on in Notre Dame land. Fanbase is in a rough spot. What do you think?
You know, I just wish Freeman would pick a philosophy. In other words, is this a year where you play young players to get them experience, even though you take a couple losses and you're building for the future? Or is it a win now mentality? Because right now, Freeman is straddling both lines and it ain't working. What I mean by that is he's playing this Riley Leonard kid in a win now mentality. And I get that. Maybe you think that he's the missing piece, or you thought that he was the missing piece of the puzzle. But if that's the case and it's a win now, why the hell are you playing those two offensive linemen on the left side? They're getting physically manhandled. You can't tell me that Pendleton is better than Rocco Spindler when it comes to run blocking. You can't tell me that. You can't tell me that the left tackle Knapp is better than Tosh Baker. I've seen Tosh Baker play. He's not the greatest player in the world, but doesn't get physically thrown out of the way. And so the point is, when it comes to the offensive line, it's like, well, they're going to get better over time. Okay, that's one way to look at it. Then we're building towards next year. But then why the hell are we playing Leonard at quarterback? He ain't going to be here next year. In other words, I wish Freeman would just make up his damn mind what he wants, because Freeman's going to get his 5 years. There's no point in even saying he should be fired. The guy is getting 5 years. Trust me, that's etched in stone. I don't care what he does this year. But if that's the case, then he should coach like it. Build a team like Mike Bray used to build in the basketball program, where you groom and develop a team over time. But instead, we keep bringing in these transfers, thinking we're going to win now, and it just blows up in our face, and we keep setting ourselves back. It's almost comical how inept the planning is, if there is any planning at all.
Man, this is a really interesting topic. I totally understand what you're getting at with, which philosophy are we going with here, and are we fully committed to one? Number one is, I think everybody around this program felt like you needed to get as many wins as you could in year 3, make that new expanded playoff in year 3. And I don't think they felt like they had the flexibility to lose more games by going young with an in-house quarterback who's going to make mistakes. I think everybody in the Notre Dame program felt the pressure. Year 3, new playoff. It's win now, win as many games as you can now, get in the new playoff. So I think that was the mentality. And then Do you think Rudolph and the offensive staff just honestly thinks those younger guys are better than what the older guys were going to be on the left side?
No,
Like, I don't know.
thought-
Like, why would you make that decision unless you really felt like they gave you the best chance to win in a year where you feel the pressure to win now?
Because they thought they had the luxury of grooming these kids over the course of the season, and Northern Illinois punched them in the face. Look, at the end of the first quarter, pull those two linemen and put the more senior guys in. I mean, I say this all due respect, John. I think you missed the bigger takeaway from that interview the Northern Illinois coach gave. The bigger takeaway wasn't the fact that he called Freeman. The bigger takeaway was he said, going into the game, we thought we could out-physical Notre Dame on both sides of the line. Both sides of the line. That's what he said. I watched his interview. That's what he said. And he was spot on correct. And that's because
that is the biggest indictment.
Pendleton and Knapp.
Oh my God.
What's that?
That is such a big indictment.
Yeah, it was. And I have to defend the Northern Illinois coach a little bit. He didn't volunteer. As I recall the interview, he didn't volunteer that he'd spoken to Freeman. He was asked point blank about it.
Yeah.
Now,
I don't blame him.
Said,
you're saying you're standing up for the guy. I'm not blaming the guy. He's playing his cards beautifully. You get all the promotional run you can when you're in this position if you're that guy. I don't blame him for anything. I blame us for everything.
Yeah. And look, he should have been classier about it and said, I don't discuss conversations with other coaches, but yes, we spoke. That's what you say.
Yeah, it's a good answer.
But I'm going to defend him. I'm going to defend him because this is the first time that guy's ever had a national interview, too.
Yeah.
No one ever gives a rat's ass what the head coach at Northern Illinois thinks. You know what I mean? So he was a newcomer at that, too. But I wish Freeman would make up his mind about where we're going. I mean, the university is going to give him 5 years. Then stop bringing in these transfers. And another thing is, you're bringing in transfers from losing programs out of the ACC. Wake Forest and Duke. Now you could say, well, Elko got someone. Yeah, but Duke is a losing team overall in the history of the. What I'm getting at is you're getting kids who have the mentality of that losses are no big deal, because losses are no big deal at Wake Forest and Duke. Losses were a big deal at Clemson, and you see how that kid's playing the wide receiver. He's playing like lights out because he comes from a mindset that you don't go around losing games. Period. Full stop. You get kids from Wake Forest and Duke, they don't give a damn about losing a game. Half the fans at Duke are getting ready for basketball season, and the same is true of Wake Forest. So the talent evaluation by Freeman in the transfer portal is appalling. And there's no excuse for it because you have college-level tape to look at. How do you not know that this kid, the defensive end from Duke, stinks? How do you not know that? You have tape to look at. What the hell are we talking about? It's one thing to strike out on a high school kid, because you never know if a kid can make the jump from high school to college. But for the love of God, this Duke kid, the defensive end, was playing against teams on your schedule. How do you not know that he's not any good? I don't get it.
Yeah,
I just don't get how you whiff. How do you whiff on so many transfers? To me, it's impossible.
Man, it's really, really frustrating. And the other thing is, man, I'm not trying to dump on like our own media circle or whatever, man, but all camp, it was the wide receivers are a totally different group. You're going to really enjoy. They're going to open things up, be able to play good football. And I heard Notre Dame's got a 10, 11, 12-man defensive line rotation that's going to be awesome, and it's going to win games, and it's going to be great, and they're going to dominate, and it's the best that media contingent has felt about the defensive front in a long time. I'm not seeing it. So I don't know what they were seeing or wanted us to see or whatever, but I ain't seeing it.
We lack height at the wide receiver position. We have 5 Smurfs running around out there. Why doesn't Freeman, instead of spending his time trying to kiss the ass of Deuce Knight and all these transfer portal kids, why don't you sit down with Deion Colsey? Sit down with him and say, look, dude, you are 6'4". You have all the tools in the world. But by God, and I would take my open-handed palm and I would smack him across the face. I would say, that smack is for your own good, because you can make the league. You can play NFL football something I never had the opportunity to, and you're wasting it. I care about you. That's why I smacked you. Let's go play some ball. Light a fire under his ass. Light a fire under the other guy's ass. I forget his name. There's another tall receiver we have on the roster. And get something out of them. The problem is with our wide receivers is they're too damn short. They're too short, and these defensive backs are towering over them, able to swat away every pass. It's so depressing. The transfer portal has backfired on Freeman in such a bad way. It's really depressing. It really is. And I wish he would recruit his own roster rather than kiss the ass of all these transfers.
Yeah, it's man, it's frustrating. Do you have any thoughts about tomorrow? Listen, I really like your philosophical. I really do like your positioning on picking a lane and committing to it and all that. I really do appreciate that. Like, that makes sense in my mind, that battle. I appreciate you bringing it up. Do you have any thoughts about tomorrow? Any feel on how Notre Dame's going to play or not?
I think tomorrow is either we're repeating history here, right? Either we're repeating the 2004 season, which is when your friend Goolsby was a senior, and it was a schizophrenic team that would lose to one crappy team and then beat a good team and then lose to a crappy team. That was a 6-6 team. That's the high water mark. Or we're repeating 2007 or 2016, and Freeman gets his ass kicked on Saturday, and players like Morrison start opting out, and the wheels just come off, and we're looking at a 4-8, 5-7 team. So either we're a 6-6 schizophrenic team like 2004, or we drop all the way down to 2007, 2016, and it'll all be determined on tomorrow. So I think the high water mark of this team is 6-6, 7-5. It's just the way it is. When you don't have a left side of an offensive line, you don't have a left side of an offensive line, you're not beating many teams.
Oh, that's dark.
That's where we are.
Oh my gosh, that's dark. Could you imagine? Oh, what a nightmare. We better hope they develop quick. So I don't know, my friend. We're just we'll see what we're gonna get tomorrow. It may be, I don't know if any Notre Dame fans are excited about the game tomorrow, but we're all going to tune in and I'm going to be here after it. And we're going to see what we get. Hey, thanks for the call. And I appreciate the way you're thinking about this. Have a good one, buddy. Try and have a good weekend. Okay.
Take care, man.
Hang in there.
Take care. You too.
Yep.
Bye.
Oh boy. People are in a bad spot. 937. What's going on?
Hey, John. I'll try to be quick here. First of all, I just gotta say, I'm a little petty, but the last caller kind of was a little bit of a hypocrite when he said about getting transfers and saying we gotta stop getting transfers, and then he says 2 sentences later he's gotta stop, kissing butt to Deuce Knight. Well, I mean, what are we going for? You want to recruit high school kids, or you want to, get transfers? So you can't just say, you can't just be upset at everything, I guess. But I think the reason why most people are upset is because we had unrealistic expectations going into the season, and then we did beat Texas A&M. And Marcus Freeman is a little bit of a Jekyll and Hyde coach so far, where he does something really good, does something really bad, because he is new, and, that's what the program chose to do. So you either, I'm saying in our expectations, I think for this season, not totally. I don't think it's totally unrealistic because we had.
But what would be okay? Let me ask you. What would be a fair expectation? What would be a fair expectation?
Well, what I want to say, I like going 11-1 is a fair expectation. Okay, I'm trying to hit a fine line here. Do you know in game 1? Against Texas A&M versus game 1 last year against Navy. Do you know how many returning starters on offense we had?
Not that many, right? Was it only a handful? Maybe, if only that? Is that it?
One. Great house, right?
Okay.
Evans didn't start. So you had one returning starter from last year's team basically the majority of the starts of last year's starters. He had one guy returning. So I do want to like just kind of, you know, hit the pause button on how I think we had too high of expectations for our offense in general this year, considering it's basically all new and a new offensive coordinator. And I think everybody put a lot of pressure on the fact that it's Marcus Freeman's third year and there's history with third year. But he's not, you know, a typical third year coach because he's still brand new. And you know, look, greatest football coach of all time, you know, Nick in the modern era, Nick Saban, he coached at Michigan State for 5 years, I think 5 years, 4 or 5 years. And he went to LSU, lost to UAB. And then after his tenure at LSU, he goes to Alabama and he loses to, I think, Louisiana Monroe. So I guess what I'm saying is that any coach on any given day can have a Jekyll and Hyde moment, okay? So I do want to say that in the defense of Marcus Freeman. I'm not saying Marcus Freeman is the guy. I'm not saying he's not the guy. But I am saying that we have an offense that is almost entirely brand new. And we have a new offensive coordinator who's experienced. I get that. And but these kind of days can happen when everything's new. I do put some blame on the coaches in the sense that I think the coaches were really stubborn in sticking with a game plan that was meant for development purposes and not winning the game purposes. Because if you were just out there to win the game, you know, time of possession, field positioning, other things, if you were actually concerned about winning the game and not so concerned about, I think we were really concerned about player development and trying to hit a certain arch of development by the end of the season. So I do want to say that. And as far as firing Marcus Freeman, I want to ask you a question. Can Notre Dame, is it possible to replace 20 plus players if you fired Marcus Freeman?
What do you mean by that? Do you mean that if you got rid of Freeman, that's how many players would leave with them? Is that what you mean?
Well, you gotta. Well, I mean, it's possible. I mean, look.
But like, is that what you're like? Is
20,
that what you're thinking?
My question is like
they would all.
Let's look at Texas A&M. Let's look at Texas A&M. They replaced like 28 or 30 players last year through the transfer portal. Is Notre Dame capable of a knee-jerk reaction, firing a guy, and then also like there's no national championship coaches out there currently coaching right now except for two, I think, Clemson and Georgia. I think all the other guys are at home who have national championships. Can you replace a mass exodus of talent?
Yeah, that's a really interesting. That's a very interesting question because in a way, you're kind of thinking you kind of box yourself in then because of the way Notre Dame's structured, that if you did that, you know, then you're kind of boxed into a corner there if a bunch of guys transfer out. I get what you're saying, but then you're trapped. You're kind of trapped. It's just not a good position either way, man. It's not a good position either way to be. This is rough, man. This is really, really rough. I don't know. It's tough.
I just want to kind of lay that out there for people who just say, "Oh, fire Marcus Freeman, fire Marcus Freeman." Like, I don't care who's the coach. At the way Notre Dame is set up, we can't replace 20. Like if you had 4 freshmen leave, 4 sophomores leave, 4 juniors, 4 seniors, that's 16 players. Like, we can't transfer over, you know, sophomores and juniors. Like, we can't do it. Like, we can't rebuild that depth. You would then be stuck for the next several years, forcing yourself to get 4 or 5 transfers as seniors that year, just replace those guys that you lost. and then you're trying to fit in for 1 year versus having that natural development upward, that comes with having a kid in the program. So I do want to just hey, we can't have knee-jerk reactions on firing any coach, beyond, the situation. So
yeah,
we can't. We're not built for it.
That's tough. That's tough. And
Notre Dame is in a bad position. I will say Notre Dame is in a bad position going forward with how college football is setting up. I know. I did not go to Notre Dame. I'm a fan because my grandpa was just a fan, and my dad was a fan, and I'm a fan. No connections to Notre Dame. That we're just fans, okay, of Notre Dame football. And I'm just going to say, with how things are set up, it's not looking good for long-term success, and I'm concerned. I'm not necessarily concerned about, this current. I think Marcus Freeman's probably going to win a bad year. I still think he's going to win 9 games this year. That's, worst case scenario. I still think it's 9. But I'm looking long term, and I think it's going to be so much easier to make the college football playoffs inside of the Big Ten, which would be a conference that we would join. Big Ten, when you add it up, there's 11 spots open. 4 of them are going to the conference champs. 4 are probably going to the runner-ups of the more than likely. I could see maybe the Big 12 or ACC maybe having a really down year and the runner-up doesn't go, but more than likely the runner-up goes. And then you got the 3rd best team from the Big 10 and the SEC going, and then Notre Dame. That would be 11. But if Notre Dame goes 10-2 this year, they're not getting in, and then the Big 10 or the SEC gets their 4th best team in. And I look and say, how many times could Notre Dame be the 3rd best team in the Big Ten? Pretty much. Pretty much. In a loss like this to a non-conference team, doesn't matter. Does Michigan still have a great chance to make college football playoffs? Yeah. Doesn't matter they lost Texas. It literally has 0 impact. You got to make your conference championship game.
Man, we covered a lot of ground here.
That's a pretty straight line.
We've covered a lot of ground here, and I'm not sure any of it is good ground that I wanted to cover, man. These are issues. This is just not the kind of phone conversation I wanted to have entering game 3, okay? This is some heavy stuff, existentially and practically. It's really, really tough, man. Any idea on the way out what happens tomorrow? Do you have any feel at all for what we could get? I have no idea what we're going to get. Good, bad, in the middle. No idea.
I think your assessment is actually probably, that you said early on, ugly win, but a win. I want to say ugly win. I think you're going to have good moments on offense, bad moments on offense. And I do think we win. I guess I would be, I'm not going to be surprised if we would lose, I guess, but I just the general performance of Marcus Freeman's teams over the last 2 years, we do probably win this game, and it's more than likely not a blowout unless our defense gets turnovers. And that's typically how our teams win big when we get turnovers, and our teams lose games when our defense creates 0 turnovers and relies on all the points from our offense. Those are the games we lose.
Yeah, it's man, we're gonna tune in either way, and I'm gonna fire up these phone lines after the game, whether one way or the other. Hey, man, thanks for thinking about Notre Dame so much.
Yeah, thanks, John.
Yeah, seriously, thanks for thinking about Notre Dame this much, man. You callers, I love how much you guys think about all this stuff. Nikki Dean with the $5 holler. What are your thoughts on White Castles? What are my thoughts on porta potties? Because if I eat a White Castle, I need one right next to me. Are you outside your mind, Nick, with all them little onion shavings and everything? Unbelievable, bro. If you want to talk about White Castle, I need to have a portalette right next to me, because if I eat them things on the way home, I ain't going to make it home. We're going to have a problem. Unbelievable, with the little tricking you with the little onions underneath and everything. Oh my God. Whoa. Unbelievable, Nikki Dean. You got a barrel for you got a barrel for intestines or what? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. This is you guys, this show, man, is off the rails. This show is off the rails this year. You don't even know. Oh man. Look, we do it. Pat said there's a lot of new names in the chat. I think that's good, but it's a little scary. We got brown M&Ms coming out of nowhere throwing haymakers. By the way, the peanut butter M&Ms are the best version by far. I'm just telling you. Literally, Ronald McDonald, my insides are rotted out. Yeah, if you eat your own product, yeah, I believe you. By the way, you guys, McDonald's is such a ripoff. The food has always been horrible. Now the food is horrible, and it's not even cheap. Does everybody understand that? The only reason people went to McDonald's is because it kind of fills you up and it's cheap. Now it's garbage food that is overpriced. And then I see these articles like McDonald's corporate wondering why their profits are down this quarter or whatever. Bro, the profits are down because the food has always been bad, and now it's just as expensive as other food that's of a higher quality, so people are going to go get that. You cannot charge what they charge for this garbage food. It used to at least be cheap garbage. Now it's expensive garbage, so everybody else, you're going somewhere else. Once McDonald's is no longer cheap, you have no leg to stand on because the food's bad. Anyways, does John get to go to fall camp? If I wanted to go to fall camp, I could have gone to fall camp. The issue was, literally, as camp was kind of going on is when I was transitioning into Sports Illustrated and getting all that set up contractually and doing all of that. So it was just kind of rough. Like, I wasn't even really done with all that right when camp was starting. And so I think I could, request a credential and get in there. But the timing was just like, I was the new guy. We were in the middle of getting all situated right as camp was going on. 815, make it come alive. What's going on?
Hey, John. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. I couldn't be better. Things are great in Notre Dame land. We're winning the Super Bowl, and I'm happy. How about that for an answer, buddy?
Well, I think I have a theory on why they did the walkthroughs Thursday and Friday.
Oh, I'd love to hear it. Were they sore after A&M or what?
So we have to establish the two things that we know. One, Freeman always brings up at the pressers, oh, it's such a long season. Oh, we have a long season. So that's one. Two, they rotate people like there's no business. And then three is this stats guy. Or no, I'm sorry. Three is, remember he brought up in the presser how they technically did like 15% more practice, even though they practiced like the same amount. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. He said they were managed to leverage 15% more action out of the time they had, something like
Correct.
that. Yeah.
So this is my theory, is he's into first of all, he's kind of in this stats, facade era. He's all about the stats now with this new guy. So my theory is this was the plan before the season started, was when we play the NIUs, when we play the Central Michigan, when we play Army, when we play Navy, we're going to, take it easy at the end of the week because those days will stack over. So we'll be more rested towards the end of the season, which lays out with, getting less snaps because they're rotating so much. So I think this was his plan all along. And I think it just exploded on him week 1 or week 2.
All right, listen, I'm a skeleton. Like, I'm not a football player. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. Goolsby all week has been ranting on Patreon about, John, it is week 2. There is no game you play week 1 where the guys need multiple days to take it easy in week 2. He's saying if you have a 6-week run with no bye, playing physical games or whatever, then you consider taking it easy on your guys or whatever. But he's going, you're in week 2. Yeah. You do not have the luxury to start pulling off the gas in week 2. You're too soft. You don't have the luxury to pull off the gas. Nobody could be that beat up after your one game. He's saying you messed up. You messed up in your preparation. If they can't make it through one game and then you got to pull off the gas right after that, it's 1 week.
Correct. That's why I think this was his plan all along, because he's like in bed with this stats guy who's like, oh, if we can save 5% week 2 and we can save 5% week 5 of practice, by week 13, we'll save, X amount percent of reps or whatever. I truly think this was his plan all along. And I think now he can't do it because it blew up in his face week 2. Because there's no excuse that they should have done walkthroughs Thursday. There's no excuse. They rotate players on snaps so much that I don't understand.
Yeah, it's really, well, listen, here's the bigger picture. The bigger picture is whatever you did, you failed. So whatever the mentality was going into this week, you failed. Whatever the plan was, you failed. Whatever the plan was physically for what you were going to lay out the week, failed. Whatever your execution plan is on offense, it all failed. That's a bigger picture lesson here too, is everything you tried to do was wrong. And I had hoped you had learned that from Marshall and from Stanford and from, showing against Louisville last year, showing against Clemson. And what they did not learn, apparently nobody learned the red flags or what not to do to not be in that position again.
Yeah, I think that's the point, is he took for granted we play NIU, we play Miami of Ohio, we play Army, we play Navy. We can get a little more rest during those weeks, because all he says in the pressers, oh, it's such a long season. Oh, so he was planning, if we play, 15, 16 games, we're going to need rest. So he took those games for granted, did not learn his lesson against Marshall and Stanford. And that's kind of the reason why it's like, okay, I can't trust him anymore. He lost my faith.
Man, this is just a position you can't be in.
I mean, am I nuts? All of what he's saying at the pressers and what he's doing all kind of line up to my theory.
Yeah, and here's the other thing, man. Freeman's not really that good at the podium. He's not really that good at the podium, man. It just always looks like he's struggling to come up with how he wants to phrase something. It's all a battle right now, man. And I don't know how you steady the ship. You just gotta, this is just not where you could be. It's really unfortunate.
And I agree with that. Stats dude needs to go in the box. It's kind of like how Kelly went through those 3 different, eras. He was purple face and he was CEO. He's in his stats era. He's obsessed with the stats guy. And I think it bled over into the preparation of, we're going to rotate all these people. Even Gould brought it up week 1. They were rotating D linemen every time they moved the chains against Texas A&M, and it was week 1. So I don't know. I think that stats guy is he's leaning too far into that stats guy.
Yeah, it was a really bad look.
He can't make the decision for himself.
It was a really bad look. Listen, Belichick had one of those guys too, but he was in the booth and he just radioed in on a frequency and said, it's 4th and 2 on this part of the field, go for it. Or that's all you need to do. You amplified the appearance. Yeah. You amplified by your own volition. You amplified the appearance that your head coach has lost out there. You did that. And it was a bad look that just doesn't help the narrative of the week. That's my opinion.
I want to see if I'll leave with this. I want to see, because this Purdue game, it's an NBC broadcast. this big Purdue, Big Ten with the NBC contract. So I want to see if they might show him on the sidelines a good amount during this game. I wonder if he's not so attached to the hip because he's, he got asked about it in the presser. People are like questioning, like, why is this dude attached to him at the hip?
Yeah, it was a bad look.
I think he's going to try to distance himself a little more, and I think we'll see it. We'll see him during the press conference or during the TV copy on NBC. I think we're going to get an answer.
Yeah,
I think he realized, like, oh shit, that's a bad look. I shouldn't do that. Like, everybody's questioning, and we should. Like, he was Gould. They hired a coach to coach our coach.
It was all really, really unfortunate. Anything else, my friend? I'm going to try and squeeze in a couple more calls and get out of here. Anything else on the way out?
Not really. Just Purdue wise, my preseason thought was he was going to get hurt against Purdue, which he already got hurt. So if he gets hurt more against Purdue, that would be correct. I still think the final prediction for the season is it's going to be like 2022 where Pine came in and then Freeman kind of dumped him. I think it's going to be the exact same thing with Steve. Like 6-1, and then he's going to dump him at the end of the year. That's just what I see. I think that's what's going to happen.
Man, rough times in Notre Dame land. Try and hang in there, buddy. Give me a call after the game if you want, okay? Have a good weekend.
All right, you too.
Thank you. Mark says, Johnny eats unfrosted shredded wheat out of the box with tap water. You know what one of my go-to meals is? A whole thing of saltines and some water. Just enough to put something in my stomach and fill it up. Like, you know what I mean? The white, a whole row of saltines in the white wrap or whatever, and some water. And that's all anybody needs. Just enough to fill up your stomach, eat your crackers, drink your water. I've eaten that as a meal a million times. $5 holler from Isaac. Marcus Freeman looks like he's trying to revive Trestle Ball. He needs to have no control over the offense. Trestle Ball was a long time ago. Yeah, Sleeve, Robert. I realize that that's his mentor or whatever. That was a long time ago when Trestle Ball won. 615, make it come alive. What's going on?
What's going on? It's highs and lows. Last time I called in, I was hammered. I'm very excited after winning Texas A&M, and now I'm not as excited as I was.
But are you hammered? But are you hammered still?
I feel like a perpetual. If I was here at 9.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking. It was
crazy.
That was really funny. You were like, and I was hammered and I was happy. Now I'm like, okay, so now you're hammered and you're not happy. So what do you make of this?
I might be tomorrow, depending on what happens. But I really am not as worried with the NIU result as most people are, because I've seen it before, and I live down here in SEC country, and I get really mad at a lot of SEC fans because I'm always like, well, you just only watch the SEC, so you don't understand, and I kind of have gotten this way with Notre Dame fans to a point too, because I'm like, well, you only watch Notre Dame, so a lot of things can seem a little worse than it is. And I'll tell you what happened on last Saturday is I saw it happening, and I was so mad when it did. That's why I got so angry. Was what NIU, no matter what NIU is, Notre Dame should have never lost NIU. But that's what happens when you don't prepare and take a veteran team like NIU serious, because they can come out. Notre Dame, what happened is that they thought they were going to roll the ball out, and their defense was going to take care of it, and they would have a chance to, let's air the ball out, let's try to install some things here and there, get Riley Leonard comfortable. They get that big touchdown, and it's like, oh, crap, this is a game. And the defense just looks sluggish. I think the loss, honestly, is more on the defense than Riley Leonard in the offense. They should have scored more. There's no excuse for that. They should have figured it out. But I think they were expecting their defense to completely shut them down, and they didn't. That defensive line is probably what I've been most disappointed in this year, to be honest. They're just getting manhandled.
Can I ask you that? Let me ask
well.
this. Let me ask this. I need to know. How is it possible physically that on my TV, it appeared that Northern Illinois was pushing Notre Dame off the ball on each side of the lines? How is that physically even possible? How?
Well, you get motivated to a point to where, and I've got a high level football. I played with high school football. We weren't that great of a team, but we weren't bad either. And I remember there were times where you would play a team that, you know, you were expected to lose a bunch by. And then when you're going into the second quarter, you're like, hey, this thing's tied. It's a game. You get that extra juice in your legs. And then on the other team, Notre Dame, for example, that juice has run out. It's like, man, these guys are tougher. We did walkthroughs on Thursday. These guys are tough. These guys are blowing me off. And I think the defensive line got it the most because, I mean, they just ran all over Notre Dame. All over them. But Marcus Freeman has never had a problem firing up Notre Dame when they need to be fired up. So I think they'll come out. And I love the embarrassment right now. I want it all. I want Thomas Hammock, or whatever his name is, to go and do his laps. That's good for him. He beat Notre Dame. He deserves it. I would do the same thing in his position. But I want all the embarrassment. I want them to feel embarrassed, especially the defense, because they should feel embarrassed. And I wanted to push back. I'm going to kind of pivot right here. A couple of callers ago talking about Notre Dame whiffing in the transfer portal. That's just not accurate. We can't help this. Sam Hartman wanted to play football for Tommy Rees, not Jared Parker. Thankful that Sam Hartman stayed by, because this season could have been a lot worse than it was. And Riley Leonard Alabama wanted him. Will Howard wanted him. Or not Will Howard. Ohio State wanted him. They got Will Howard, and that was their second choice. So I really don't think there's an evaluation problem there. The only person playing his ass off right now for Notre Dame is a transfer, Bo Collins. That's the only guy I see out there trying as hard as he can besides the running back.
You know what else, man? I got to tell you this. When you look at this team through 2 weeks, Bo Collins is the number one guy, I would say, plays with an attitude. That dude plays pissed off. He plays the way I need all these other Notre Dame players to play. Pissed off, physically, angry, juiced up, jacked up, ready to go back, ready to get in a defender's face, physically go up and catch a ball. Why is Bo Collins the only one playing with that kind of juice?
Because I think he can self-motivate real well. I think a lot of the team needs Marcus Freeman to get on him and fire him up, because I think Marcus Freeman is a genuine guy. And what we saw before the tunnel at Texas A&M was Marcus Freeman. And he just needs to find a way to motivate himself to those lower opponents so that his team will motivate with him, because it is kind of hard to self-motivate if you're doing your walkthroughs on Thursday, because you think you're going to roll the ball out. And another thing about Marcus Freeman is, this is what scares me, is because he needs to let Riley Leonard be Riley Leonard. I don't know if he was just word salading before the NIU game, but I remember that interview clear as day. I was like, that's a little weird, where he's like, hey, we need Riley Leonard to just do what we ask him to do. Then why did you get Riley Leonard? Why did you get a dynamic playmaker? Like, if Riley Leonard is at his best when you tell him, go out there and make a play.
But you're right. You're really, really right about that. The first thing Freeman said in that pregame on-field little interview is, we're not asking the guy to do anything. He said, listen to the coaches. You don't need to do anything and just listen to the coaches, blah, 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 blah. That's what you say when you start CJ Carr as a freshman and you don't want a bunch of big mistakes. That's not what you say. But that's not what you say when you're getting a 1 year, one and done, super senior, whatever type guy. That can't be the message when you have a one and done upperclassman quarterback is, you're scared, don't make plays, listen to the coaches. That's what you say to a rookie. Yeah. Come on, bro.
Well,
come on, man.
Quarterback like Leonard, because he's not, I push back against, like Mike Denbrock did. He's not a running quarterback. He's a dual threat quarterback. And you can notice when Notre Dame sets the protections and when they go back to drop, when Riley Leonard says hut and they go back and they start passing, the pocket that forms around them is the pocket that you put for like a Jack Cohn or like a Sam Hartman. It's not for Riley Leonard. You got to have some lanes in there because he's got to get out, because that's where he's at his best, is where he runs. And if teams aren't respecting the run, because they can see, if I can see it on the TV, a defensive coordinator can say it. They're like, hey, dude, their pocket that they're forming, they're not forming a pocket for a running quarterback. They're going to try to pass it with him. So they're looking at that and they're like, we're not going to respect the run at all, and we're just going to load back in the secondary. And if he can't get out of that pocket, then there's nothing he can do. But Riley Leonard, he needs to get out there. And I have a question for you. Do you think he's getting a little bit of paralysis by analysis with having the speaker in his helmet, having Mike Denbrock in his ear saying, look for this, look for this, look for this?
I don't know.
Do you think it's kind of a detriment?
I have no idea. That's a really good question. Is after all these years of these quarterbacks used to doing it the old way, is it almost throwing them off, having too much information to process while they're out there on the field? Yeah. That's a really good question. I would like to think you could adjust to that and then it would turn into an advantage. It turns off with 15 seconds left and then you're on your own. Like, I could see it being an adjustment at first and then you kind of adapt and start using it to your advantage. It's a very good question. So what do you think happens tomorrow? I don't mean to rush you, but I do want to get to a few more calls and head out of here. What do you think about tomorrow?
So I'm thinking, I have hopeful me, and then I'm not even going to say realistic me. I'm going to say just negative because I don't want to think anything bad with Notre Dame is realistic. I think they come out and they play with their hair on fire, and they secure the win. Like, maybe Purdue scores late and it looks a little closer than it was. But I feel like they control the game. And I think my prediction is either Riley Leonard has a great game or he doesn't play very well. They say he's injured, quote unquote, and I think this is what they might be gearing up to do. Hopefully not. Because I want to. Some people never wanted Leonard, and some people never wanted Marcus Freeman, and it shows because they never give him a chance. But I think I want Riley Leonard to do good. I want Notre Dame to do good. But I think they might be, if he gets hurt and can't play well, they're gonna be like, "Look, dude, you are a true senior. You have a red shirt. We can give you a medical red shirt. Go be Superman somewhere else. We're gonna work on our guys here."
Interesting.
I think that might happen if they don't play well.
That's really
he's a true senior.
Wow. Yeah, that is a really interesting angle I've been seeing this week. I don't know, but it's a big week, and a lot of people are looking at Notre Dame for a lot of bad reasons this week. So you better show up. Hey, thanks for the call, man. Hit me up on the post game if you would like. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Go Irish.
Have a good one. Man, he had some energy there with the Go Irish. My main man, Martinez, what's going on, man? What do you make of where we're at? Break it down.
John, buddy, I've tried to call all week and I try to let go of what happened last week. But you know what, man? I can't, man. Like JD said it best, man. You know, it's $1,000 a fly out there. It's $1,500 for a hotel. It's $200 for a sweater. It's $50 to park. It's $50 for a damn program. We deserve to win. We deserve to win.
Yeah.
NIU to NIU.
Yeah, it's
you know what I mean?
It's frustrating.
I've defended Freeman. I've defended him, man. I've gone at it with some of the guys that are probably great guys, man, on the chat. And for you to get up there and know that this dude can't do it, man, like, what are you doing, man? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, John. I didn't mean to lose it, but it's like I've been holding this in all week, man, and I'm like, I've gone at it with great guys on the chat, man. And it's just like we deserve, man, to win against NIU, man. Like Josh asked his fiance, and it didn't ruin his trip, but it's like, man, the day I asked my fiance to marry me, we ended up losing to NIU. Like, come on, man.
It's like. Man, it's really rough. I can hear it in your voice, man. You're just hurt. I can hear it. I'm with you. It's like, it's pain. It literally like turns your stomach when we're in the position we're in. What's the way out of it, man? What's the way out of it? How do you navigate your way through this if you're Notre Dame? Are you able to think of that through your frustration? Like, what is the way to navigate through this?
You know, Johnny, the only thing I could think about, man, and I've listened to other guys talk, and and I've listened to Malik talk. And the thing is, it's like, you know, he says he went through it when they were having the quarterback battle between him, Deshaun, and Brandon, or whatever. And then that's why he told Kelly, "Hey, man, then I'm leaving. I'm not gonna do this to these guys, right?" But anyways, he says he gets to Florida, and you're trying to do the same thing there, and it just didn't work, right? And so it's like, for me, I'm just thinking, you know, if this be the case, you knew this dude was injured all through spring, all through basically just a month ago, really got to start going. Why wouldn't you put Angeli in? Why do you keep going to these rent-a-car places, man? These rent-a-car places. Why? You know, I know everybody hated Drew Pine. I know that, man. And I'll get backlash from the guys. I'll get clowned and we can joke around. But he did win 10 games at Notre Dame. He did. He did win 10 games at Notre Dame, man. And the only reason I bring him up is because you see pictures of him at 3 years old. Look at him. He's been an Irish fan since he was 3 and all this and that. You got people who genuinely, just like your one caller called, man, and I'm like, hire that dude. He's a coach, man. The dude that was at the gym on Wednesday, like how Luke Coach said, I want to put guys that genuinely love Notre Dame on the field. Drew Prime genuinely loved Notre Dame. It was genuinely his dream to be at Notre Dame. Like I've always told people, my respect for Tommy Rees, because Tommy Rees didn't leave when he lost his spot a few times, man. He genuinely loves Notre Dame. I mean, would Riley Leonard have loved to get recruited by Notre Dame when they first? I don't know, maybe. But these other kids, Angeli, all these kids, they genuinely love Notre Dame, man. Just like us Subway alumni. Or just like somebody, just like Bill Rocker, who didn't plan on going anywhere else, man. Like, why wouldn't you try it? At least give that dude a shot, man. Because obviously, I'm not a college coach, man, but I've coached some college players, man. But the thing is, obviously, the Hardman project, the Leonard project. I'm sorry, man. I don't see it working. Why? And the fact that this last caller said, "Oh, you know what? Oh, let him be who he is." Well, then what are we recruiting 4-star, 5-star running backs for? You know what I mean? Like we got Jeremiah Love, we got Darian Price, we have Aeneas Williams, and Jabron Payne. Even when he's not injured, man, that boy lost his freaking helmet, man, going into the touchdown against Ohio State. Why are we going to recruit a running quarterback? Then what are we going after better receivers for? If we're just going to play a Navy style offense.
Yeah, it's
it's
really frustrating. So I totally understand your frustration. I can hear it in your voice. So what do you feel about tomorrow? Like, what are you expecting from Notre Dame? Do you think they're going to show up pissed off, ready to go in West Lafayette? Or are they going to get off the bus and be all depressed and sad and play like crap and we're going to be miserable again? What do you think you're going to get?
No, and Johnny, I really am sorry for losing my cool like that, man.
Wait a second. Why are you telling me you're sorry about losing your cool? Do you know what show you're on? That's how things go around here. That's how things go here, buddy. You fit right in.
Johnny, I've never cried, man, over a loss like that, man. I've never cried over a loss for an Irish game, but this one broke my heart. But to answer your question, buddy, I genuinely feel like the boys are going to go pissed off. Right now, we are. I don't agree with the last caller as far as it's okay with the investment. Because, man, every platform, we're the laughing stock of college football, and that's not cool. I don't live my life like that. I'm not a joke to anybody, even though, you know what I mean. But anyways, I feel like they're going to come out pissed off. I feel like they're in for a dog fight because you and I both know that Purdue always plays us.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, we always look to those talents.
But dude, if you think about it, it makes perfect sense, man. Purdue is in the same state as you are, and they're sick of Notre Dame getting all the football attention. It's always been like that. So they're gonna be gunning for you. And the other thing is there's blood in the water, and Purdue is smart enough to know that. Like they know Notre Dame Nation is struggling right now, and they're a wounded animal. It's up to Notre Dame to decide whether they're going to just lay down and get finished off, or if they're going to rise back up. It's a big test to see if is the staff lost the players or not. This is an uncomfortable test tomorrow, an uncomfortable battle.
Very true. Like I said, I think they'll come in with a little bit more fire. They're going to be in a dogfight. I think eventually they'll come out, in a close victory. I think the Irish will come out in a close victory. You know what I mean? And I think moving forward, they just got to run the tables, man. They got to run the tables. And I mean, whatever it be, however the score may be, 3-9, 14-16 in our favor rather than against us, they just got to run the tables, man. And that UCLA team that they beat that they play at the end of the year, they're going to have to be prepared for them. But as far as, man, that's the one thing I'll say Freeman said best, man. The only thing he said best this whole week is, right? It's first game all over again. Or was it cross that said? I can't remember. You got, or was it a caller? I think it was a caller. I'm sorry, man. I've had my mind so clouded because of this shit that they got to really take every game. This is first game of the season.
Yeah.
And really come out like dogs, man.
Notre Dame can't win 2 games tomorrow, and they can't go forward and they can't go backward. All they could do is win 1 game tomorrow, the one in front of them, and then maybe that'll tamp down the flames a little bit, and then we could grow from there. That's about the best we can hope for, man. Listen, I hear the pain in your voice. I hear the pain in your heart. Just try and have a good weekend, man. Okay, hang in there.
Yeah, Johnny, onward Notre Dame, man. Love you guys.
Yep, take care, buddy. Man, I could hear the pain in that guy's voice. 716-574 going to be the last two for the day here, and I got to get out of here at 11:30, so that'll work out just about right. 716. By the way, the you guys are saying some. You guys are funny, man. I appreciate some of the funny stuff you guys put in the chat. You guys are creative. I love the chat here. 716, what's going on? 574 will be after to end the show. What's up, 716?
Well, I'll tell you, I've seen a lot of things in my day. I'm 72 years old. Been a Notre Dame fan since the past 60 years. Played catch with Daryl LaMonica as a 14-year-old kid because his roommate was my gym teacher. But I'll tell you, it's up to the people that are the captains. You know, I've always heard coaches tell me it's 10% preparation and 90% mental. And mentally, that's what your coaches get them up. But the captains are the ones that are supposed to motivate you. They're the ones that are supposed to be the ones that challenge you to rise up to where you need to be. Last week, I don't know. You take people lightly, that can happen. But it's like the GOAT said, right? It's just like Nick said. Don't read the print. It's rat poison.
Yeah.
It's rat poison, man. Don't read it.
But now, okay, wait. Number one is thanks for the call. I like this approach. So let me ask you, as far as the preparation mentally to enter a game like we did last week, coming off a big win on the road in the SEC the way we did, how are you parsing out that responsibility from the coaching staff to the player leadership? How do you parse out whose responsibility that is? Do you see that as being like 50-50 shared from the way the staff sets up practice that week and their mentality and their messaging, and then the players to deliver it? Or how do you look at that? I really do want to know how you view that.
Well, I look at it as, first of all, the captains are the ones that are the players. And they should be talking about it all week long. They should be motivating each other all week long and challenging them to do it. You know, a lot of guys lead by example. A lot of guys lead by talking. Some lead by doing both. Now, the coach, if he feels it's necessary to get him up, yeah, but he should talk to him. He said he should set a thing. And I believe that Nick, he had to have a way to discipline people if he knew they were listening to all the outside noise. I mean, because he ran a tight ship. I mean, face it, that's why he is who he is. But Marcus, you know, he gives the big speech before the Texas A&M game. Well, every game should be like that. Here's the situation. Hartman and Leonard never were in a big game. Think about it. Never in a big game. But when anybody plays Notre Dame, it's their Super Bowl. It is their Super Bowl. Now, my youngest son, we're texting back and forth Saturday, and his dad, they never seem to play good at home anymore. What's the story? I said, I don't know. But the thing is, he takes them away, right? Marcus said before, he takes them away, puts them in a hotel, so they're not around the campus and the atmosphere, and the people talk to them and build them up about the publicity. But you got to look at every game as being the person that has to prove something. I mean, I was always the guy that, you know, never would be the first picked, but I'd always make the difference at the end. And I'm like, why did you guys pick me first? Until one day it happened, and it was in basketball. And the guy said, because I know I'll never get a shot off if you're on the other team because you'll guard me too strong. So you earn your own respect. But on the other hand, you're playing an opponent. You got to realize they're going to give you their best shot. Doesn't matter who they are. Doesn't matter if they're little sisters of the poor. They're going to come in and give you their best shot. And so the thing is, the coaches talk during the week and prep you. And yes, they'll say things, but it's really up to the captains. I'll bet you if you ask Goolsby that, he'll tell you it's the captains that motivate the team. That's why they're captains. And if you can't, I like what the caller said the other day. In fact, he was just talking about him, the guy that was going to do the workout. Hey, until you act like a captain, take the C off of your jersey. Take the C off of your jersey. But the thing I'm really concerned about is this. I think, and I've heard a couple people talk, I really do think that Leonard has a bad shoulder, his non-throwing shoulder, because I think the play that really did it in was the play when he was throwing the backward pass, and that's what I call him because I used to officiate too, not lateral. It's backward passes. And it went kind of off to the side, but the guy was spinning around, and his arm got in an awkward position, and that guy came right down on his arm.
Yep.
And I thought, wow. And they didn't run him after that. And after the game, I'm thinking, man, what's going on here? You know, he was
So
really
how
throwing the
effective?
ball well.
So how effective is he going to be now if you're limiting him as a runner because he's banged up and already had trouble throwing? What do you expect to get out of him this week? Then that's my question.
That's what I'm saying. Listen, and right, peanut butter and jelly, right? He showed out. He showed out in the bowl game. He was MVP, right? And then when he came in the Pittsburgh game, right at the end of the year, he was dropping dimes on the receivers. Now all of a sudden he's lost that talent. No, he didn't lose the talent. I think Notre Dame is looking for return on their investment here.
Yeah, it's
you
tough.
Can't do that.
It's tough.
People make
That's a
bad
modern.
decisions.
Hey, that's a modern day consideration. That is a modern day consideration that you dumped all that money in. It was way over $1 million, is what I've heard, into this quarterback. That is a very interesting thing everyone needs to consider now. Are you willing to eat that cost and run him out there? Or are you willing to bench that guy and then have that agent never want to send you another transfer guy because you promised him he's a starter all year and then you pulled the cord on it and they're not interested in negotiating with you for any other free agents to move on? There's a lot of BS that gets caught up in the wash here. There's a lot to consider.
Oh, I agree with you. So here's one of the things I had written my son, my middle son. And I said, the difference here is this, that Riley Leonard and Sam Hartman have to realize, and especially Leonard this year, that football drives Notre Dame, unlike Duke, where basketball drives Notre Dame.
Yep.
I don't think he really understands or gets what it means to be the quarterback at Notre Dame. You're the face of athletics for the whole school if you're the quarterback in Notre Dame. You got to have that demeanor to handle that. You got to know what that means. And if he really does have a torn labrum and he was my kid and I was the parent, I'd be questioning the coach. You're going to run my kid out there and he's got a torn labrum? Are you serious? Because this could turn out worse than what we think. But the whole thing is too, and I agree with this. Angeli said, listen, I'm staying at Notre Dame. He's a Notre Dame kid. This is his dream. You don't give up on your dream. But the thing is, they need to do something because if he can't pass, and think about it, John, you might have your left labrum hurt and you're a right-hand passer. But a lot of times you got the ball up there and you're trying to hold it.
Yeah.
You got a guy coming in, you want to push him away with your left arm in order to pass. And how are you going to do that? I'm thinking is 80% of Riley Leonard better than 100% of Angeli. So I'll just leave you with those thoughts.
It's tough. This is really, really tough. Now, but here, I'll drop this on you. Follow me here. I'm sure you've thought of this. That awkward dynamic we discussed about what do you do if you pay a guy to come in here on a one-year deal and you're not getting the result you wanted, and how awkward that is to navigate, because if you start somebody else, then you kind of are admitting you failed in that analysis and that it's a sunk cost or whatever. This is your escape cord. You pull it and you call injury, and it eliminates all of that drama of like, oh, it didn't work out and you're admitting you failed in the portal, blah, blah, blah. If you just say he's injured and needs a week or two, that frees you up to be able to see if you could get a spark from one of the younger guys or Angeli. That could be an angle Notre Dame plays here, but I don't know if they're interested in going down that route. But that is kind of a temporary, be able to test something out without a bunch of drama. I don't know if they're thinking of that or not, but it crossed Johnny's brain.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you, I thought of the same thing, but I really do believe he got hurt because I used to do football. I've seen some kids get their knees, shoulders, everything.
Oh, he looked hurt.
But I think when that happened,
he looked hurt.
I think when that happened, it was on that play.
Yeah.
I really do.
Oh man.
But
So
the thing is,
what do you think about tomorrow then? What does your gut tell you? All this Notre Dame you've watched over these decades, good, bad, and ugly, and in between. What do you expecting this team to do after that short bus ride to West Lafayette? What are they going to do? How are they going to come out?
well, that's up to them. If they feel they were embarrassed, listen, you want to play like you're the underdog all the time, and you got a point to prove no matter who it is. If you play against a team that isn't as good as you, and you really run the score up on them, well, you can look at the other team and say, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to put my talent in recess, or am I supposed to use my talent? On the other hand, you're going into a game that you know you got to win. You can't get overhyped. but you got to be to the point where you're thinking, okay, I screwed up last week. I actually have an opportunity to go out and justify who I am and what I am. And that's the whole thing. They're the face of the program. The other thing, here's the other dynamic. Think about this one, John. Marcus Freeman's job is on the line. Is he going to allow a quarterback to go out there that isn't 100% and can't do anything versus somebody that he can put out there that has shown to be a good quarterback?
Yeah.
Listen, you don't need to be fantastic. You've got the receivers. In fact, the guy was talking about Bo Collins. Last week when I was watching the games, isn't it the one kid, didn't he transfer to Texas, one of the defensive backs? Is that where he was from? Was from Clemson? And you're talking about how this guy, they're talking about how good he was. And there was another kid that was transferred from Clemson on another game I was watching. He was starting. And I thought the reason Bo Collins has what he has is because of the culture that was created when he was at Clemson. That's why he has that. That's why Dabo wants to keep the culture, although I think it isn't a good move for him not to use the portal, but he wants to keep the culture of the kids he has there. And that's the other thing I said to my son last week. They went out and they got 2 quarterbacks the last 2 years, and both of them really have failed miserably when you think about it. I mean, they both were supposed to be, the saviors or whatever. But the problem is, like I said before, they don't realize what it means to play quarterback at Notre Dame. Maybe they need to sit down and watch all the old movies about Notre Dame and stuff to understand. And aren't we the school that invented the forward pass? When Newt Rockney and his buddy were at the beach over the summer.
You got to get back to the beach and learn how to play football the right way and throw it to Gus Dorius along the shores of Lake Michigan, right?
Yeah, really. I mean, we invented the forward pass, and we can't even get it.
We're going backwards. It's been 100 years. It's literally been 100 years that we're going backwards.
We're going back.
Man, if you're not gonna, you're either gonna cry or you're gonna laugh when you think about the life we're living here, man. This is gonna be interesting. Hey, I gotta tell you, I really appreciated this call, man. Will you give me a call again? I'll be live on the post-game show, and then you know where to find me. I like your insight. Call me again soon.
So there's a question I got to ask you.
Yeah.
I don't know what times you come on. I've Googled and everything else, but I don't know what days you're on and what time you're on YouTube.
Really, I'll make it really easy for you. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 to 11 Central Time. I'm in the Chicago area, so 9 to 11, Monday, Wednesday, Friday during the weeks. If we have a lot of callers, I'll run longer like today, 9 to 11. I'm religious with that. I'll be there every 9 on the dot, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then right after the game, we'll go for a couple hours. Those are my usual segments, and then I'll add from there if anything big happens. But that'll at Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 to 11.
Yeah, so I'll tell you exactly where I'm located. I'm located about 3.8 miles from Center Court at St. Bonaventure University. So I'm in southwestern New York, about 65 miles south of Buffalo.
There we go. Well, then you're going to be an hour. You're going to be an hour ahead, but that's the schedule. And good caller. Give me a call again, okay?
All right, thank you.
No problem. Have a good one. What a nice guy. I didn't mean to cut him off. I got nice callers, man. I got really nice callers. 574 is going to end the show here. What's going on, 574? You've heard a lot today. What do you make of it all? You make any sense of it?
Pretty much. Hey, it's Walter. What's up, man?
Oh, what's going on, buddy? What do we do in Notre Dame land now? Where are we at? And where do we go? I don't know.
Well, I'm sorry, but Freeman needs to quit lacking the balls to make quarterback changes especially in situations like this. I'm sorry, but if he starts in jelly in the second half, Notre Dame wins. He should have benched Leonard, and I could care less for the excuses. Even if he did not have a shoulder injury, he was not getting it done against a MAC school. And we may not like Brian Kelly, but what did Brian Kelly do when he saw that Wimbush was getting figured out by a MAC school followed by a bottom-tier SEC school?
Okay, so let me
made a change.
Okay, so let me ask you. You have no you're not worried about the way that comes off and all the money you gave him to come in here from Duke and the promises made he's going to be the starter, whatever. You're saying it doesn't matter. You just got to cut the cord and you don't care.
Honestly, you got to do what's right for the team. After all, it's a team sport. And if it's not helping the team, you got to, it's like nothing personal, but it's not working out, dude.
Yeah. And my question is, if he's banged up, I'm struggling with this. I'm really struggling with this because the passing game was already an issue before. His biggest credibility was in mobility. So now he's not going to be mobile because they don't want him taking more hits and the passing game's a struggle. Where does that leave you? That's my anxiety for tomorrow. If they start Riley Leonard and he's banged up and they don't want him to run and we're struggling to throw already, where does that leave us? I have no idea. It's rough.
You got me. And I should tell you, I did make a meme of you the other day.
I must have missed this. Did you send it to me on Twitter or what's the deal? How am I supposed to see this?
I sent it to you on Facebook. It shows your angry face and it says that angry moment when Freeman is sticking with Leonard for the Purdue game.
You know what? I'm glad a lot of people are getting some social media run off my anger. Dr. Lou down there who runs the Georgia SEC YouTube show, got a big following. I understand he was using one of my pictures. You know what? I appreciate kind of getting more popular here, but for all the bad reasons, all of the worst reasons. Son of a buck.
You kill me, man. But you know, this is why Freeman needs to be, how do I say it? We may not like Kelly, but he was your coach. He wasn't your friend. And I think Freeman needs to save the friendship.
Where did you go? Did you cut out when you did a backflip on your skateboard ramp? He just cut out. He's gone. He did what did he do? He did one of those, what is it called? An ollie or whatever? Like, dude, like skateboard. He did an ollie with his phone and it cut out. Dude, we're all losing our minds. We're all absolutely losing our minds. It's unbelievable, dude. My bro, he hit the ramp and then the phone cut out. Conundrum says Rogaine is using John's images. Come on. Why are you trying to do that to me? Give me a little credit. You're killing me here. That's brutal. That is brutal. Give me a break. Some of these chat comments are hilarious. Some of them are so hilarious and make me so happy that I couldn't even respond to them because it would get me in trouble in different ways. Some of your comments really made me smile. There were some things in here towards the end of the show that really warmed my soul. Maybe some of you that know me very, very well will be able to know which ones they were. But there was a couple things in there that really warmed my heart. So you guys, I don't know what we're going to get tomorrow. I am frustrated and I am disappointed that our tailgate is, the tone of the tailgate's changed. I really don't appreciate that. Like, it's really, really frustrating that we've spent the whole year building for this tailgate and wanting the vibe to be good and everything. And Notre Dame messed it up. So the vibe of the tailgate is going to be different. And it's just kind of, it's going to be interesting to see what happens tomorrow. And then the tailgate, I might just end up in the parking lot hugging everybody. And we're just all like, I can see it, you guys, because I feel the pain in everybody's voices. And it just might end up me hugging people in the parking lot. And you don't even really need to say anything. I'll just hug my people and be like, we're all sad, man. What are you going to do? People are saying that I haven't, only my whole life, Kent. Only my whole life. Is that long enough? 4 decades worth? People are saying that they're disappointed I haven't gone on a rant about Purdue's big drum. I'm not in a position to have a rant on, I'm not in a position to take shots on Purdue or anybody. Like, I have no leverage. A big part of life is knowing when you have leverage or not. And when you have leverage, you lean into it and you maximize. And when you don't have leverage, you pipe down. I have no leverage right now. I had leverage for a week after A&M. And when Florida State lost and when Brian Kelly lost, I had leverage for like 5 or 6 days. Now I have no leverage and I have no room to do memes or make fun of make fun of a big drum that's stupid. I have no leverage for anything, man. There was a Purdue YouTube group that came at me and they were baiting me on Twitter, trying to get me to say things and get me all worked up and use it on their show and everything. And I just responded with, I'm like, you guys, no, I'm not engaging in this. I am in no position to run my mouth about Notre Dame being so much better than Purdue or what. I am in no position. I am in no position. I have no leverage to run my mouth at any other fan base or to do anything. And that's just the way it is. So I know my role. And when I have no leverage, I know I have no leverage. So I've been sitting here taking the punches all week. And the Purdue people have been going at it. And I have nothing to say, man. Like, there's no comebacks. All right, everybody. So I'm going to put something else out in a couple hours this afternoon that I think people are going to like. We're going to watch the game tomorrow, and I'm firing up these phone lines, and whether things are going to get a lot worse or things people are going to feel better about, I don't know. But you know me, I'm going to be here, and we're going to get through it together. So whether it is good or bad, we're going to go through it together. Thanks for the calls. Thanks for the donations. The numbers on the show are getting better. I'm not sure it's for the best reasons the last week, but I'm happy to have you guys here. Love the show. Love the community. Talk to you tomorrow.